I used to
All
be
right,
like that,
there we
but
go.
then I learned the magic of Obsidian. Now all my research is in chaotic flowchart. Dom, are you going to change my life again with another app?
Obsidian's pretty dope. Oh,
Is it?
here we go. Hello.
Because I tried to use Evernote for years and years. I tried to use Evernote. Everyone kept telling me Evernote was great, and I couldn't make Evernote happen. Didn't matter what I did. I found OneNote, Microsoft OneNote, easier to use than Evernote.
Wow. I
Yeah.
use a bit of software for tabletop
Yay!
role
Amy's
playing
back.
game
Sorry.
DMs. Hey, Amy.
Oh, for Dungeon Master.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I use that for taking my notes because it
Yeah.
allows you to stagger things off of each other. So this leads into
See,
this, which leads into this, which leads into this.
and that's what Scrivener. I got Scrivener for my novel when I wrote my novel. Which, by the way, does anyone ever want to read that thing?
Yeah,
I wrote a fucking
100%.
novel, and I'm just like, that's the thing I did once, and I've never even like, I don't know. I'm just so shit. Like, why? Once I've done a thing, I'm just like, okay, I did that. Move on to the next thing. Uh, all right, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, do it. I'll do a pod recording where I read it to everybody.
Oh,
Bedtime stories with Maddie.
audio book it. You can, huh? You can link them together. You can even just straight up add web pages to it. Fuck yeah, Obsidian, get in there. I use paper and get overwhelmed and lose everything instead. Yeah, I literally have 4 notebooks, and someone took one and borrowed it, and I lost my mind. And they're like, "But you've got so many notebooks," and I was like, "Yeah, and I need all of them." And now I have no idea. You've just gone and put something random in this notebook, and the whole notebook's useless now.
Yep, it's
You've
broken.
messed up my whole system.
Yep, the notebook is broken. Filthy
Yeah.
Voices by Maddie.
Don't worry, Bella. I've got plenty of books that I have read since lockdown that I haven't opened. I've got textbooks that I bought in uni that I still haven't opened. It's fine. That's a normal part of the
That
book
sounds
buying
right.
experience. So, one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about. Oh, wait. First, no. You're all signed in.
Yep,
Excellent.
I'm good. I'm streaming.
Fantastic. Wait, you guys write things down? Yes. So before we forget, let's run an ad
Mhm.
on both our pages. Have you got yours up? Your TikTok, your Twitch to do an ad?
I'm just going to bring it up now.
Okay. So
I always forget to
ad
have it
break.
running in the
I need
background.
a coffee. Yeah. Hang. So I'm gonna go to the toilet as well. So that's why I was like, oh, because I was about to just start. Then I was about to leap into it, and I was like, wait.
I've got stuff I need to do.
Yes. Aha. Aha. Okay. So let me know when you're ready to go, and then I'll go, and then we'll all go.
How long
and
an
then
ad
she
are
just
you running, bud?
goes. 1 minute and 30 seconds.
1 minute 30. All right, bear with me a sec. I'll just get that
That
up.
should be enough, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I reckon so.
I reckon so. I reckon you're right. And we're not on TikTok now either, which means we don't have to worry about the swearing.
Excellent. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Going? Ready?
Yeah, I've started mine, dude.
Ready? Oh, okay. I'm going to get a coffee. I'll just start mine. Oh, coffee. Oh. Ah, sorry. Just an error occurred which caused Streamlabs Desktop to close. Don't worry, if you were streaming or recording, that's still happening in the background. No, it wasn't. It wasn't still happening in the background, Streamlabs. You're full of shit. Full of fucking shit. And now I can't hear myself anymore, which is really strange after being able to hear myself for so long.
I can hear you.
Yeah, fuck off, Streamlabs. All right. I forgot actually when I got up and ran away. I forgot that most people can still see and hear me. Ad's
Yeah.
only going to go for another 30 seconds, so I'm just going to go pee quickly and then wash my hands. But I will be back. I promise.
Bet. No worries.
Okay. See ya.
See ya. All right. Well, for anybody that's watching on my channel, I am now back from ads. Tomorrow we'll be back shortly. Ah, hey Dom. Jumping into my chat to comment Venus. Thanks very much, pal. Yeah, tomorrow we'll be back shortly and we will get on with it. Yes, Tamara has begun to specify washing hands just so that Kim doesn't try to digitally beat them up for it. Traumatized. So, what has everybody been up to in the week since we saw you last? Anything fun? Anything not fun that you'd like to talk about? You put your neck out. Well, that sucks. I've been there. It's not a fun time. Don't know what you did, Amy. I don't know that you did anything.
What's up?
So I'm in the process at the moment of trying to put together a
What's up?
voiceover
Sorry.
reel. Just because I'd like to see if I can get into voiceover work. Voiceover work. So yeah, I'm putting together a bit of a reel.
It'd be fucking fantastic. Fucking epic at it. Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where you are again. I don't know what window I've put you on. I can't see where you are. There you are. Now I can see you. Hello.
Hey, hello.
How you going?
I'm good.
We're back.
I still exist.
Maddie up, Tamara down. What's this? Ah. I'm up. All right. How are you going? How was that ad? What did we all get ads for? Was it fun? We all had a good time? Oh, Maddie up, Tamara down on the volume. Okay.
Oh, okay. Volumes. Right.
So
Let me see if I can do something about that.
this is the only downside to this versus
Yes.
StreamYard.
My mic volume on StreamYard is as high as it'll go. I'll see if there's any thing that I can do within the settings.
My mic volume's down at 60%.
Mine's at 200. So
I'm just very loud. Oh,
let's see.
how's that? Is that any better?
How are we sounding?
60, negative 60 plus 200.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's where we're at.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll try to be more quiet. That's all I can do. It's a tad louder, but it's fine, I guess. You all, like, I just need to make sure everyone's listening to me first and foremost is the most important thing. So I'll move further away from the microphone. I'll just sit back there.
See how that goes, eh?
Yeah, move it a little bit further away from me, maybe. That's probably a better idea. I do feel like it's a lot clearer when I'm closer to it as well, though. It's actually perfect. Oh, there you go.
All right.
That's actually
So
perfect. I just had to move the microphone a little bit further away from me. That was
okay.
it.
And is my volume all right? Not too loud, not too quiet.
Yep.
All good.
Everyone,
All right.
we're all good. We're
Fantastic.
perfect. God, I do love though that when just earlier when we were laughing about the lack of actual script and the fact that it's in just 20 different fucking tabs. The fact that like Lily was like, I feel so seen. I just had to comment on that. Because honestly, when you said that, I was like, oh, good. Because I thought the reaction was going to be, what fucking weirdo? just put everything in one document where it's easy to find. But when that's not the reaction, when the reaction is like, me too, I'm like, oh, it looks terrible. It is.
The
It
ABC
is.
News website.
Yeah. I knew they weren't talking about us. We look fabulous. Have you seen us?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
God.
My
Hello?
freshly washed hair that's just an absolute nightmare.
I was about to say your hair. That TikTok comment before. The hair, though. Absolutely the hair, though.
Yeah, there is a lot of it.
There is. I do want to get. I know it's annoying as shit, but I want to get Slobs figured out because Anyway, just until we get everyone off TikTok. Oh, go back to. It's a bit too muffled now, Tam. Go back to mouth fucking the mic again. No worries. Maybe I'll just try and talk quieter while my mouth fucking the mic. I'll try and work on my volume. That's the problem. That's the problem when you're trying to record a podcast with someone who has no concept of their own fucking noise volume. What are you supposed to do with me? ASMR Tamara. All right. So, one of the reasons... Oh, actually, I've got to do a cone first because this is going to get fucking heavy in a second.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
It's certainly going to be a thing.
Yeah. I have got all these pimple patches on my face today because I've also been like stress breaking out on account of the research for this video. I'm the same RE personal noise volume, yeah. Because it's quite distressing to hear about this stuff. And so in that vein, I do want to do a bit of a trigger warning at the beginning of this piece today because I am going to share a bit of a video that is going to be quite distressing for some viewers. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's going to be distressing for everybody. Like anyone who sees it's going to be fucking distressed.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying it'll be distressing for some viewers is because some viewers, when I was first made aware of what was happening to our children in detention, it was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, and we were being shown footage and video of what was being done to these children who were in detention as a part of my criminology undergraduate degree. We were being shown footage of how children were being treated once they were in detention. Now, what I think is very difficult for a lot of people... Oh, there's a slight echo. How did you get an echo? Okay, let me see. How did I get a fucking echo?
Yeah. And regardless of what I've done to my computer, I'm echoing as well.
I was going to say, what? Could hear you clicking. What were you doing?
I'm trying to work out how the hell to stop this echo happening because now I'm hearing myself like 4 times over.
Right.
And it's going to drive me insane.
I thought you said you figured out the echo.
I thought I had.
Haven't figured out the echo.
I genuinely thought I had.
Maddie is so much louder now. This is a mess. Yeah.
Let me just...
Yeah, no,
right.
And that's why I wanted to give a warning, Belle. I wanted to give a warning before we got into this one because when I was... I apologise for the echo. I'm just going to get through this bit quickly and then we can... I can probably. Would you want to try? We could. I don't know. We could probably try going back to Streamlabs. Do you want to try go back to Streamlabs?
Just first, how am I sounding to everybody at this point? Like, is this too quiet for you guys?
Fine now, Maddie. Maddie sounds right. Yep, you're sounding good.
So this volume is okay? All right, cool. That will take care mostly of the echo, because now I can turn my volume down but still hear you. So that's all good.
Oh, okay. Perfect in every way as always, Maddie. Yeah.
I wouldn't say
Excellent.
as always, but we'll roll with that.
You are pretty perfect. Practically
Oh.
perfect in every way.
Don't be saying that. It's too much to live up to. Too much pressure.
No such thing. So So one of the reasons why I wanted to give a little bit of a warning beforehand is because when I was first introduced to this footage when I was studying my little baby undergraduate criminology degree, the being exposed to this footage and seeing what was going on and doing this sort of introductory research into this topic broke my brain. Actually fucking broke my brain. This was sort of the first time I been through a fucking shit ton in my life and that, being in therapy for the time I fell pregnant with kids and all the rest of it. But this being, and again, having experienced homelessness, having experienced FDV, having experienced family violence, having been through all of that, seeing the way these kids were being treated inside Dondale is the thing that broke me.
Yep.
Not when I thought my own mother was going to kill me, not when I thought that I was never going to get to see my kids again, not when, my ex was doing awful shit to me. It was seeing the footage of what was being done to those kids at Dondale that actually broke my brain.
Yeah.
Very seriously for the first time. So this is not a little itty bitty trigger warning. And when I am going to show that footage, I will give another very, very big warning before we show that. And it's from the Four Corners investigation because I wanted to make sure that we use footage that, first of all, I went and looked into what they went through before they showed the footage. They didn't only have permission from the children. They didn't only have permission from their families. They didn't only have permission from their communities. They didn't only check with the legal teams they went above and beyond to make sure that the children's identities were protected. They went above and beyond to make sure that, even though they had permission to show all of this, they still went over and above to make sure that the footage they were showing wasn't going to do any further damage to the children involved. Yeah. And that's why I'm only going to use the footage that ABC specifically have used, which is why I'm going to use the ABC Four Corners report to show you the footage. We aren't going to be looking at the Dondale footage today. We're going to be looking at the Banksia Hill footage.
Yep.
So,
and it's
one
not
of the
gonna be
reasons,
a lot of fun, just a heads up.
It's not. It's gonna. I'm getting chills. Like I literally just feel like I'm gonna be a bit. We might have to do this in two parts just because of how intense it is and how much there is going on in it. So, yeah, if we do decide that it gets a bit much and we're gonna leave it at a point, I'll try and find a nice point to leave it at. But we'll see how you go. Now, our democracies and our structures of government are underpinned by the rule of law. We all kind of assume that.
All right, Belle. See ya.
All right, no worries. See ya, Belle. Love you lots. Now, our democracy and our structures, our entire legal system is underpinned by the rule of law. Fundamental to the rule of law is the concept that all persons and agencies within our executive government are bound by and should comply with the laws enacted by the legislature to protect the rights of individuals in our society. This is particularly so if those individuals are children and young people, and even more so if they are in the care and control of the state. What's really concerning whenever you sort of try and consider the rule of law and how it operates is that our judiciary is entirely reliant on the attitude of the executive government towards its findings to see its rulings carried out in the community. The courts, after all, are unable to enforce their own orders. They are, in not just a large part, but almost entirely dependent upon officers of the executive government to execute and enforce them. The judiciary is often seen as an extension of the armed wing of the state for this reason. However, the judiciary is supposed to act completely separate and in opposition to the government. It's really concerning, therefore, when often legislation is written in such a way that while it gives the appearance of protecting the public, it's often written in such a way that it, in fact, provides protection for the members of the executive branch of government to protect their actions when they act against the people of the public. This can be seen. This can be seen in the way that the Young Offenders Act of 1994 and the Young Offenders Regulations of 1995 have been written, and how they have been used in defending the actions of members of the executive branch in their treatment of young people in their care at the Banksia Hill Detention Facility. Welcome back to Two Girls, One Garbage Can, the Ozpol podcast where we try and make sense of the garbage can state of our Australian political system. But really, who the fuck can make sense of our garbage can political system when this is what passes for the rule of law in this country? These regulations have been written in a way that ostensibly doesn't allow the executive branch of the government to treat children in their care in anything less than an upstanding method. However, a recent High Court decision in Western Australia has ruled the treatment of children at the Banksia Hill Detention Facility isn't only unlawful, but it contravenes basic human rights. In fact, it's been labelled as torture.
Yep.
That's right. It is government policy in the state of Western Australia to remove children as young as the age of 10 from their communities and put them in a facility that, due to massive failures in government funding, torture has become par for the course and an acceptable format in the way Banksia Hill operates. This is not... The Young Offenders Act allows certain isolation tactics to be used in order to discipline children at the facility. The wording of the Act gives the impression that this is not in any way a solitary confinement, but instead is being done to monitor the children. However, the way that prison staff are being trained is that these facilities are being used in a very similar way to facilities like the Shoe we've seen on shows like Orange is the New Black.
Or Oz,
3 children.
or anything.
Yeah. So I think we're still in the introduction section of this, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. And just chiming in for just a brief moment, literally none of this is hyperbole.
No.
So when we say torture, we mean it.
Why I'm trying to be really, really clear about this, because 3 of the children were represented by the Indigenous Legal Service of Western Australia in a High Court decision in which, honest to God, I start shaking when I can hear this. Magistrates have said that the WA Children's Court president, in fact, has slammed Banksia Hill as being worse than any adult facility operating in this country. And he slams the impunity of youth prison management for the fact that nobody seems to be getting in any sort of trouble or having anything done about this. And in fact, while the High Court of Australia has deemed that 3 children... I'm going to go back to that in a second because that actually makes me feel sick. We'll go back to that in a second. The reason we're talking about that is because last year, and again, while I'm giving warnings about the content of this podcast, I just want to warn any Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people who are watching that there will be mentions of Indigenous people who've passed away. throughout this podcast. I won't be mentioning them directly by name because I'm Wiradjuri, and part of our culture is that we don't recall people by bringing up their name. But I will be mentioning them. So just wanted to warn people of that as well. So last year, a 16-year-old boy was found unresponsive in his cell days before his death in hospital. He'd been calling out for help in the hours before his death, calling out for water and Panadol. These cries went unanswered. I've got so much information to share with you all, and it's going to be really hard to get through all of it, so I apologize.
Tem, if you do need to send any of it to me
Yeah.
so that you can have a break from speaking, just flick it my way and I'll take over when you need it.
See, this is why I should write scripts, so I can send it to you, and you can write it. You can read it out for me. So, in 2022, the Western Australian government decided to open up Unit 18, a youth detention centre within Casuarina Maximum Security Adult Prison, in order to take care of some of the most concerning cases that had been assigned to Banksia Hill. Unfortunately, when the government says concerning, usually what they mean is children requiring additional care. That is not what Unit 18 was set up to provide. Unit 18 does not provide additional health resources. It does not provide additional psychiatric services. In fact, it only provides additional security in the solitary confinement units that these children are being sent to, and it provides no additional youth services at the facility at all.
Mm-hmm.
Unit 18 was opened in response to several issues within Banksia Hill Prison over the last few years, culminating in 2 riots that have broken out in within 18 months of each other. On Christmas Day in 2021, there was a riot at Banksia Hill Prison in which outside guards had to be brought in to quell the rioters. And then in 2022, there was another riot at Banksia Hill. At the time, when it was being suggested that we open a special unit inside the Casuarina Adults Prison, legal advocates around the country all were in agreement that this was a stupid idea, that this was not the call, this was not the right response to be done. The conditions in Unit 18 have absolutely no rehabilitative effect. Judge Quayle, Judge Quayle, who is the WA Children's Court president, has said that not only do they provide absolutely no rehabilitative effect, but that children who are sent into the facility often pose more of a threat to their local community once they are released on remand than they do once they're introduced to the environment within Banksia Hill.
I mean,
Judge Quayle's,
I wonder why you
Yeah.
traumatize a bunch of kids who have already been through hell. Because kids don't make the decision to break the law just because it seems like a fun time. This happens because of societal failings, support failings, income inequality, shit life situations. Like, there are reasons that crime happens. It's not just something that's a decision made out of the blue because it seems like fun. So you take these kids who are already disadvantaged and you put them into solitary confinement with zero rehabilitative purposes, and you then wonder why, when they come out, they're more dangerous than they were when they went in. Like, fuck. What do you expect?
Now, again, this is all, still just in introduction. I'm so sorry. This introduction is like the longest fucking introduction in the world.
It's okay. Go ahead. I'll stop interrupting.
Judge Quayle noted that this boy that he was speaking to during the he said Judge Quayle noted that during his recent detention, the boy had been locked in his cell for 22 to 23 hours of every day. As this court has said as long ago as February of last year, when you cage children and treat them like animals, you should expect that when the door is opened, that they will behave in that way. This is not to excuse what you do, he says to the children at their sentencing, but simply that this is the expected outcome with the system that we're currently dealing with. There is no doubt that those conditions in Unit 18 put you in a group of boys who are subject to by far and away the worst conditions of incarceration of any group in this state, worse than any adult prison. It is clear that you have been brutalized and alienated, and in turn, you have reacted against those who are responsible, directly responsible for looking after you in the detention centre. Judge Quayle described the detention of children in Unit 18 as barbaric, cruel, and a form of child abuse, and warned the state government it could be found in contempt of court for continuing to detain children in an adult prison. Now, this is the part that we're going to get like really fucking upset about. I'm sorry. Despite being censured by both Judge Quayle, again, the president of the Children's Court, as well as legal scholars around the country, as well as the High Court of Australia, deeming that conditions inside Banksia Hill were unlawful and breached human rights and were in fact torturous, and that court rulings have found again and again and again that lockdowns are unlawful, Banksia Hill still continues to lock children down for up to 22 hours a day as a matter of practice due to many, many issues that it has, mostly with staffing levels. Not only has nothing changed, but things are getting worse. A 14-year-old boy was locked in his cell for at least 20 hours per day on 26 occasions across 4 months in Banksia Hill detention. This was also deemed to be unlawful by the West Australian government. In a recent High Court case decision, the Western Australian High Court found that the detainment of 3 children was deemed to contravene their basic human rights when a young girl, out of 22 days, spent a grand total of 26 hours outside of her cell. A young boy, over the course of over 200 days, spent less than 200 hours outside of his cell. And another young boy who was 13 at the time, over the course of 2 months, had been let outside of his cell for less than a day in total, for less than 24 hours in total, a 14-year-old, being kept up in solitary confinement for up to 24 hours a day on some occasions. Now, whenever we discuss the issues of youth detention, oftentimes the first response that you get is that, well, these children have committed some horrible crimes. We have to do something with the worst of the worst offenders. Surely there needs to be somewhere that we can put children who are doing such horrendous things as genocide. Except that that isn't what these young children are doing. Recent studies conducted by, I forgot to write down the name of the university here because I was sure I would remember it, and I don't. What's the one in Bentley?
In Bentley? Hang on, I'll find it for you because I don't remember either.
It begins with a C. The university in Bentley that begins with a C.
Is it Curtin?
That's the one, Curtin.
Cool.
Thank you.
No worries.
So a recent study by Curtin University found that not only were over 80% of those incarcerated dealing with some form of mental disability or difficulty, but that similar numbers, 76% of children admitted that the first time they engaged in any kind of illegal activity that had them confronted with law enforcement, it was over food. We're now getting into the actual the actual fucking podcast.
Yep. Hi, Tom.
Hey. So Supreme Court judges for years now have been saying that Banksia Hill, that's where we go. Okay. Here we go. Where are we? This is not the right thing. No, that's not the right page. That's the next page that we've got to go to. Oh,
So there is some order to the chaos then, Tam.
there is.
It's just not a lot.
No, never. Never. I honest to God, though, do you know how many reports I've got open? I've got the directed review of allegations made by Amnesty International Australia about ill treatment at Banksia Hill, which was done in 2018. Now, this was the other thing that I was going to mention. Now, the High Court decision that came out a few months ago stating that the treatment of these children was unlawful is not the first time that the High Court of Australia has come out with a decision like this. It's not the first time that a review has been done on Banksia Hill. This has been going on and on and on for a very, very long time. And so it's really important to remember that whenever we are, there we go, here we go, this is it. Recommendations, that's not what we want. No, where are we? Okay. Fucking stupid thing. Sorry, one sec.
You're all right.
I don't do the clicky thing on the, oh, there's the other report. There we go. There, it's just management, staffing, amalgamation review paper from 2013 is the one I was looking for. Nope. That's the other incident. Okay. Ah, here we go. Yep, this is it. All right. Hello, lovely people. Hello, Tom Tom. Okay. Now, do we need to have another break before I get onto this bit? Oh, there's an ad in progress. There's literally an ad in progress. We'll just sit here for 50 seconds until it finishes. Can you hear me, Maddie?
I can hear you fine, buddy. Yeah.
You're muted. Okay.
I was just adjusting the settings on this. So...
Oh, you're okay. You're all good. I'm going to have a cone now, actually, before I get started again.
Good plan, pal.
Because I haven't done that yet. Yeah. I also have to apologize to everybody for how I'm sure my voice sounds incredibly chipper and I am laughing a lot. I have that form of autism where you laugh when you're uncomfortable. It's a really awkward form of autism to have. Oh, yeah. But it means I yell instead of crying and I laugh instead of yelling. So
yep.
I'm belonging to. Excellent, Lily. I also do love that whenever
everybody's going to kind of need that.
Everyone's going to need that. I also love how whenever we're doing any of these like deeper, more intense discussions, everyone just gets very quiet. Like we're all very somber. I'm gonna mute my mic while I belong.
Listening to hear, not respond. Yeah. It's one of those episodes where the information is important. Although I will say, we do always appreciate you guys chiming in. It can help us sort of break up some of the intensity. Because if we wall of intense info for too long, it is pretty difficult to keep going at that level of mental effort, I think is the word I was looking for. So a bit of a chime in from you guys every now and then is helpful to at least break it up and let us know that you guys haven't kind of just walked off and left us to talk about horrible shit by ourselves.
I'm sure there's the thing too about our chat. Most people give me a warning before they leave, like, I'm going to go. It's like, you can just leave. It's okay. There's no pressure. You don't have to stay. Yeah.
But most you're welcome to head off if you want to. You don't have to, you don't even have to announce it if you're going to head off. But we do appreciate those who do.
And we'd like to say goodbye when you're leaving. So, you know. Yeah.
We certainly appreciate you. But yeah, just so you know, we're not trapping you in here with us.
No. No one's trapped. swear to Christ, oh, there they are. Sorry, my meds.
No, you.
Ah, no, you.
Just casually deflecting that one.
No. You guys are beautiful people. This is why we do it. Honest to God, I wouldn't show up and do this every week if I was dealing with a whole heap of arseholes in the comments. Like,
Oh, yeah,
who
right?
would?
Why the hell would we keep doing this to ourselves?
Not fun.
No, we've
Not fun
definitely
at
got
all.
a really, really good group of
Yeah,
folks in here
we
with
do.
us.
We do. And now that I've worked out how to actually choose when the ads run, I think it's going to get even better. Sends the compliment back with super glue.
Oh, this is unfair. I don't have any super glue. I ran out trying to fix my broken shower head.
Okay. Banksia Hill open. Oh, so should I get back to it? Are we ready to go back to it?
Ads are done. Yep. I'm good to go.
I'm a craft whore. I have everything. Same. Oh my God, I cannot wait till we get together on the commune and we combine our crafting powers. We will create the craft apocalypse. Like, I remember when I was at uni, my mum, not that I went as an adult because, believe it or not, my parents told me that they would send my brother uni, but not me because he had to support a family when he was older. But I'd have a husband to support me, so I didn't need to go to uni. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh like that.
No.
I promise you.
Me and my three
It's
sisters
just,
have all
holy
graduated
fuck.
uni. My brother hasn't.
Mm,
Anyway, we're all supporting ourselves, but you know.
Yep.
Anyway, in this economy, God, find me a man with that kind of income who can support me. Jesus.
God, find me a man who that kind of income. Fuck.
Fuck yeah. That's
I'll
what
add
the
another
commune's
one to the
for.
polycule. I don't care. I'll find time on my dance card.
Absolutely. On the commune, it's going to be easy too because we're all going to be in arm's reach of each other. No problem. So, I forgot what I was saying then, but it can't have been important. Lord, find me a woman or three. Yep. That's right. When I was at uni, that's how that started.
Yes.
When I was at uni, my mother said to me, you know, you're not going to be able to craft your way to a degree. And I fucking did. I crafted my way to that fucking degree. Because I was doing like the colorful note taking and the lines everywhere. And my friends, I'm not even kidding you, you know those memes all over? I didn't even realize that they noticed. I didn't realize they noticed that I was into this so much. But in those memes about like the person who is like over the top with notes and always fails their exam. And it's like got this fully like color coded wall with like all the anyway. And my friends were like, yeah, but then she doesn't fucking fail the exam. And it's really annoying because she spends more time color coding her notes than she does reviewing the material, and she still manages to fucking pass.
Yep. I don't know if you've
My
ever seen
bitch.
it, but Red Dwarf.
Yes.
Yep.
Love Red Dwarf.
You're like Rimmer if his efforts were successful. First business.
Which one's
was
Rimmer?
jewelry
You have
back
to
when I was
describe
10.
him. Is he the
Rimmer
narcissist?
is the hologram.
The hologram. Yes.
Yep.
The hologram if his efforts were successful. My favorite fucking episode of that was the one where they had an alien on board that looked like the one that they were most attractive to. And the
Yep.
guy turns to him and he goes, well, what, do you find me attractive? He goes, no, I think you're like a giant half-chewed rubber tip pencil. That
Yep.
line has just stayed ingrained in my brain for 15 years. Like, I swear to Christ.
It's a great show, honestly.
Oh, so good. So good. My first business was jewelry back when I was 10, abandoned it along with the rest of myself. I'm now 35 and back doing what I loved. Amazing.
That's excellent.
Amazing. I was the same. My first, well, actually it was beading. I made beaded, I made little beaded insects and people could turn them into whatever they wanted, but it was for jewelry. Like they could either attach it to an earring or attach it to a brooch but yeah, I used to make beaded insects when I was in school because I'd just sit there. Like I'd be so bored in class. And so my mum got me a hobby that would keep me busy and wouldn't be distracting. So I could just sit there and like make these little beaded insects. And so I had like little and then I just had so many of them. So I started selling at the markets because I just became obsessed with making, because it's so cool because it's like Lego, but with beads.
Yep.
Anyway, we got an ad in 19 minutes. We better get started. Get back to the depressing stuff. Okay, so overview. Banksia Hill was opened in October 1997 to replace the Longmoor and Nyanda detention centres. It is considered a maximum security facility and was originally designed to accommodate all young offenders, male and female, serving a sentence of detention. Such young offenders may, as law, be as young as 10 years of age and may include young people over the age of 18 who are completing their sentence of detention. So they've been sentenced to serve 2 years at the age of 17, for example. They'll serve the entire time at Banksia. Oh. In October of 2005, male detainees on remand and all female detainees were accommodated at the Rangeview Remand Centre. However, in 2009, the minister who, just FYI, the minister who is the minister for young people and prisons and policing, and like he's the minister for all of it, as though it's all the same thing and doesn't have contention that might need opposing points of view to balance there a little bit, like
Yeah, right.
the policing and the detention centre. I don't know. It's the same thing as like, anyway, just
Same thing as making somebody the minister for business regulation while they sit on the board of the 4 biggest businesses in the country.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's a bit more, I think, like naming someone the department, the minister for planning, and also making them the minister for business affairs, because like your two roles contradict each other. You're supposed to be planning for the community, but you're also in charge of managing business affairs. And so a lot of the planning is going to take into account a lot of the business affairs and what they want, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the minister for education also being the minister for employment. That never sits right for me. I hate that so much. I'm just like, oh, they are not the same thing. Stop treating them like they're the same thing. Anyway.
Yep.
So I know that's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to give the portfolio to any minister, and they're literally taking the advice of experts and things. They're only supposed to be representing it in Parliament. But the point is that it means businesses only have to get in the pockets of one minister to have their issues heard on these very conflicting issues, rather than trying to convince 2 different ministers to represent them on things. So it just makes life a lot easier for businesses and conglomerates and business interests, and a lot harder for the public and for public interest. Anywho, so in 2009, the then minister announced a project to convert Rangeview into a young adult facility and to expand Banksia Hill to accommodate all of Western Australia's young male and female detainees, including arrestees, remandees, and those who have been sentenced. This was initially expected to be completed by 2011. However, there were a lot of delays in completing the works required, which meant that it didn't occur until 2012, the back end of 2012, that all the young people were moved into Banksia Hill. Now, this is often, I know this happened over a decade ago, but this is often pinpointed as being a lot of the start for the problems of Banksia Hill, because something to bear in mind is that one of the arguments we have for why we have to have the prison industrial complex the way that it is, one of the big arguments for that is, I really wish I could have found a way to make this more interesting, because I know that it's not, like, it's quite a dry subject to talk about.
No.
But one of the big arguments is that it costs $1 million. Oh, it costs more than that. It costs like $3 million to house one serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
It costs $5 million to house 2 serial killers. It costs $6,000 to house 6 serial killers. So the more people you have, the cheaper it gets per cost per person. However, as a society, we can't afford to spend, like, I think it's $300,000 per person detaining people because there aren't enough serial killers.
Yep.
There aren't enough serial killers to make it cost effective for us to only lock up the worst of the worst. So people have this idea that prison is only there as a place to rehabilitate those who have done wrong. It's a way to like re-educate them. It's a way to protect the community from the worst of the worst. And it's a way to try and deter other people from committing crimes when they see it happen. Okay, this is what the literature tells us about the point of what incarceration is. Even like the legal profession will tell you that this is the point of incarceration.
Yep.
Except when you look at it from a criminology perspective, which is why I had both degrees, because it's very interesting to get both
Good
degrees.
idea.
Very good idea. Incarceration does nothing to reduce recidivism. In fact, it increases it. Involvement from the police. And the earlier it happens, the more likely it is to have a lifelong effect on the detainee. So it doesn't reduce recidivism, first and foremost. It does nothing about deterrence. It does not have a deterrent factor. Pinpoint blank, full stop, no fucking point going any further. It does not act as a deterrent. Because most criminals are acting rationally when they commit their crime. Not rational to you or I sitting back looking at it after the fact. Maybe not even rational to them sitting back after the fact looking at it. But at the moment when they're committing their crime, they are acting rationally. And so the prison having a deterrent effect doesn't even factor into the thinking process at the point of activity happening.
Well, like if I'm actively starving, or my child is actively starving, I'm not thinking about jail terms.
No.
While I'm nicking food.
No. But even on a smaller scale, even if you're freaking out about how you're going to make rent next week.
Yeah.
And you've got
Which
no
I am
idea
every week.
You've got no idea how to make that money. And you're walking down the street and you see someone's left their car door open and they've left their laptop on the front seat of their car. Now, in that moment, depending on what skills you have, what ability you have in yourself, it's going to depend on whether in that moment you decide to grab that laptop or not.
Yep.
Okay. And there are other factors as well, like, is there someone around watching? So for a crime to occur, you kind of need three ingredients. Okay. You need to have a motivated offender, so the person committing the act. You need to have a suitable target, suitable victim, the laptop sitting there, and you need to have the lack of a capable guardian. The lack of a capable guardian is what we're doing with the policing and with the cameras and with the surveillance state. Lack of a capable guardian is so dependent on the motivation level of the offender to the point that it is ridiculous trying to pull on that lever if you're also not doing anything to address the motivation of the offender, which is how we have set up our criminal justice system. We are putting all of our focus onto making the guardian capable while doing nothing about how motivated that offender is. If you have got a psychopath who is desperate to get at ya, it doesn't they will plot and plan. You could have an army of police in front of your house. They will plot and plan to do away with you because they're that motivated. We've got extremist groups out here committing terrorism. They're that motivated. Clearly, there is nothing you can do to make sure you are more capable than a really fucking motivated offender.
Yep.
So what we really should be doing, and every single, a victim being a suitable victim is dependent on so many other different things as well, that really there is no point trying to address the victim side of it, okay? There is really no point trying to address the victim side of it at all, because the number one thing that stops a victim from being a victim is being less appealing as a victim than their next door neighbor. If the closest person to you is more appealing as a victim than you are, that has the biggest impact on whether you're going to find yourself a victim of a crime or not.
Yep. And just so that everyone's aware, when Tam says we shouldn't worry about the victim side of things, we're not talking about we shouldn't care about victims. We're talking about the fact that when we consider how crimes occur, the availability of a victim is such a small factor in whether a crime occurs or not, because if it's not this person, it'll be that person. What we're talking about is why
victim
the crime
blaming
occurs. Yeah.
People, you try and blame the victim and say dress better, lock your gate, lock your car, lock your house. if the bank vault was open and a bank thief walked in and took the money out, he is still committing a crime, even if the bank left their front door open.
Yep.
Stop. Like the idea that it is the victim's fault in any way and we need to control the victim's behavior in order to try and stop the perpetrators from doing what they're going to do. That's what I meant by stop with the victim talk. Not as in don't give a shit about victims, as in stop thinking that the victim has the power in that situation.
Yeah.
The victim is not a victim until the perpetrator decides to make them one. Perpetrators create victims. End of discussion. There's no need to try and tell people to control their behavior to prevent themselves even becoming victims. Perpetrators create victims. Victims don't create victims. Perpetrators create victims. So
exactly. And anybody who says to a victim of a crime, you should have done this, this, and this, is basically just saying to them, it's basically just saying to that person, you should have made yourself a less attractive target than your next door neighbor.
Literally.
It's putting that onto somebody else. Like, it's stupid and asinine and wrong.
Yep. If you had a longer skirt on than the girl next to you, he would have attacked her instead. But I don't want her to be attacked either. So why don't we aim for a world where neither one of us has to worry about our skirts? Instead, we're all focused on demotivating the offender. Yeah, preach.
Exactly.
Preach. And demotivating the offender, that is kind of, people say that prisons are about demotivating the offender. They're not. They are not about demotivating the offender. They are about guarding. They're about trying to create a guardian. It's about policing the offender. It's about, because prison doesn't, people think police custody begins and ends with, they think that when people die in custody, they die behind bars. No. Once a police officer has approached you and taken you into his custody, you are now in the custody of the state.
Yep.
You don't have any,
even while you're being questioned.
Even while you're being questioned, you are like a 12-year-old child who is in a classroom at school. Yep. For all intents and purposes, you are rightless, which is why I say, and my kids know this, and they literally embarrassed me the other day a little bit. They didn't embarrass me, actually. They made me very proud. I should be more careful with how I say things. They made me very proud the other day because my friend was over. The friend who house sat for me came over and we were having a chat about stuff. And I sort of said, excuse me, like we were having a conversation and she sort of said she was talking to this cop. And I said, excuse me, what do you say when a cop asks you a question? And both my kids from the next room piped up and go, you shut the fuck
up. Love them. Love them. Your kids are fucking legends, Tam. You've done a good job. Little chaos gremlins, bless them.
Because that's literally the only thing you can really do to protect yourself in that situation. Like, you taught them well. And that's the thing too. Yeah. But from that point on, you are in remand, right? You are a ward of the state. For all intents and purposes, you're a ward of the state. You're in the state's power.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to advocate for yourself because you're an adult, sure. But imagine being 10 and being in that same fucking situation. And you feel like, and especially because as children who are learning their place in the world, the way they develop that is by rebelling against authority figures.
Yeah.
A child at home has a tantrum and throws something at his mum. My son did it on camera the other night. My son took a piece of fruit and threw it at my head the other night because he was frustrated because I told him on live.
God damn. Boy was out to make a point.
Yeah, he on live threw a piece of fruit at my head. And I had to hide my face because I didn't want him to catch me laughing about it because I thought, holy fuck, if he sees me laughing, he's going to think it was a moment. It was a moment. It's all over. I'm done. I've lost all authority as a parent if he sees me laughing about this. So I'm looking down and I'm just like, holy shit, do not look that way. And then I looked over and I said, like, I can't remember what I said, but it was like, you can leave now.
Yep. That's, wow, dude.
It was.
I don't even know how I'd handle that, hey. Like, well, I mean, this is why I have cats rather than kids. Because at least with cats, when they do something wrong, I can yell at them. to like
Yeah.
get off the counter. But kids, I might fuck them up if I tell them to stop being little shitheads.
Oh no, Ohio,
Oh.
Red, that's so sad.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ohio.
The thing is, I think I have just accepted the fact that I am going to fuck my kids up, and I keep telling them that I'm going to fuck them up, and I keep telling them that, like, I say to my kids constantly, this is the first time I'm doing this too. I'm making this up as I go. I'm trying to, like, you come up to me with a question and expect me to know instantly what the answer is. I need to think about it. I need to figure out what I'm doing. Like yesterday, my kid kept asking me if he could watch YouTube. And I'm sitting there going, oh, let me think about it. Let me think about it. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about it. Because the rule was it wasn't until this birthday that they were allowed to watch it. They're only allowed to watch it when a parent's sitting there watching it with them, you know. But yeah, keep expectations low. Absolutely. So they're asking me if they can watch it. And they came up and asked me like 4 or 5 times. They're like, come on. And I said, you've got to give me a minute to think about it, because you've got to understand you're the first 9-year-old I've ever tried to raise in my life. It's really hard raising a 9-year-old. Like, it's a hard work. I've got to think about everything. It's going to have long-term consequences. And you're going to be sitting in your therapist's office bitching about me one day. And I'm trying to make sure you've got like as little to say as possible. So if you could just give me a minute, the pressure's on a little bit here. And he thought it was fucking hilarious. And I was like, it's not. I'm having a panic attack over YouTube, okay? Like, just give me a minute. These are some deep questions. But yesterday I had to have the discussion with him where I explained to him that in a year's time, if he threw that piece of fruit at me, and let's say, for example, it wasn't me. Let's say he'd been removed from my care because I was homeless. I was living in a tent. And everyone said that I deserved to have my children taken off me because of that. So let's say they were. And he's not in my care anymore. He's now in the care of the state. And he's sitting there with his foster mother. And he throws a piece of fruit at his foster mother. And he's 10 years old. His foster mother has been trained by the state to call the police, because that's assault.
Yep.
This is a 10-year-old rebelling against the authority figure in their home. They don't know the difference between the state and their mother. They only know that you're the authority figure in their life, and their brain's trying to figure out where the boundary is. And if the way they figure out where the boundary is to be carted off to the police station because they are taken into custody and taken away, they're in police custody. You think is this wonderful, like, okay, yeah, but, you know, they're not like locked up for that. This is the point when we're going through this about what Banksia Hill became. Yes, they are. That child throws a piece of fruit and is taken away into police custody to the only youth detention facility in the state, which has been called by our judiciary the worst facility for children in the country, the worst facility in the state bar none, a worse facility than any of the adult facilities, detention facilities that we have in this country, when our state has made it a mandate to make immigration detention so abhorrent that people would rather be genocided than come here and experience that. And magistrates who are dealing with those systems are telling us that Banksia Hill is worse than that. Yeah. And this facility is still operating. Now, let's go back against what I was saying earlier. The state has a responsibility to its people to uphold the law at any point in time. Okay? That's the deal that they made with us. We get to govern you. We get to decide what the laws are because we're going to uphold those laws and make sure everyone abides by them. No man is above the law. That was what we decided when we got rid of kings, that no man was above the law. We have now had, since 2012, this has been experiencing issues when the amalgamation finally completed in 2012 to amalgamate Rangeview facility with Banksia Hill. That these facilities have been having. Since 2017, so 5 years later, the court cases started piling up, deeming that the way that children have been treated is unlawful in this facility, and yet the facility has continued to operate for a decade, beyond the point when these first reports came out about the inhumane treatment of children in this facility. Now, our ad's about to start. Yes, you've got a lovely floof baby.
I'm just letting him purr into the microphone.
Yeah.
Bit of cat ASMR. He had a bad dream.
No.
So he woke up and screamed at me for cuddles. And then I have to proceed to annoy him to get him to leave me alone.
I feel like we've spent an hour talking and we've done a lot of we've done the background and the overview at this point.
Yeah. It's a big topic, man.
It is a big topic, and I really don't know. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know how much more I can talk about it with the same energy level. So this is going to be, the ad starts in 11 seconds. I'm going to go to the bathroom, put the kettle on, and then maybe we'll have a quick chat about how much more we're going to talk today before we sign off, because I'm also going to have to edit this episode afterwards, which means I have to revisit all of this information again.
Of course.
So I just want to, I'm trying to be a bit mindful of that, because lately I have found myself getting about halfway through the episodes and having to walk away. Like, I can't edit them all the way at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
so I just,
in all honesty, the podcast doesn't need to be 4 hours long.
No, that's why I'm trying to get it down. Like, in the editing process, I am getting it down to an hour and a half to 2 hours. 2 hours is my absolute max. But I get halfway through and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm so bored of my own voice. I have to stop.
Or Jesus Christ, that blue-haired fuck talks.
Never. I'm constantly like, shut the fuck up, Tamara. Your voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard. No one can hear Maddie's dulcet baritone, like, gliding through, making everyone wet as fuck, and you're ruining it for everyone. Let the rivers run, my friend.
You give me far too much credit, and stroking my ego like that will get you everywhere.
Hey, remember how I started this by saying, yeah, that looks much better with you on top of me?
There we go. Clip that for me. Someone clip that. Someone clip that. I didn't get the first part of it when we started. I am setting that as my alarm tone. That is what I'm going to wake up to from now on. And when Willow asks, I'll just be like, it's an in-joke from the pod.
I was going to say, and the ad's nearly over, so nobody's even heard that, because they was on an ad when I said it. Oh,
God damn it. There was no one even here to clip it. I hate this. Someone stop the planet and let me off.
I was going to say, we're going to need somebody who's watching it back in the replay to clip it for us.
Tamara finally does a proper full-on flirt with me, and nobody's here to fucking hear it. This is bullshit. Oh, Amy heard it. Yes. I have a witness.
Heard it. Lols.
I have a witness.
Oh, you're cheating on me.
In my head.
Amy's cheating on me. Amy's not on my page. That's why I didn't know she was here.
Amy's on mine. Hi, Amy.
Yeah. All right, the ad's over and I didn't even get up after all of that. Oh, I'm going to do a comb before we get started on the next.
Yeah, please do.
Next one, then.
Please do.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing putting together my vape tank anyway, so you might as well.
Let's do it. Okay.
Lily, so you know, clipping is basically when you cut a section of the stream when somebody says something or does something really cool or says something
Twitch,
very funny.
It's like one of the bottoms down the bottom. On Twitch, sorry, it's down the bottom. There's like a button you can click that's like clip, and it's like, how far back do you want to go? And you're like 30 seconds or whatever. It's far too far gone for that now, though.
Yeah, it's too late now.
I figured that too. I was with you on. See, Lily and I share a brain, so I immediately went, That's not what she's asking. That's not what they're asking.
I see.
Sorry, I forgot. Lily uses they them pronouns. I've got to remind myself. That's not what they're asking, Maddie. They're asking about specifics. Down the bottom, there's a little clip button.
Oh yes, yes. Apologies.
No, you just don't share a brain with Lily. That's all. Don't apologize.
I always start from like the most basic part of the concept, because if I start talking about detail and somebody doesn't even get the base level, I sound like a wank.
See, I do the opposite. I assume they know everything. I assume they know everything, and I'll just say the most complicated thing, and then if they need clarification, I assume they'll ask.
Yeah, fair.
And that's because that's how I operate. Like, I know a little bit about a broad variety of subjects, and so I don't need people to explain the basics of most things. And so I assume everyone else is the same. Everyone knows a little bit of everything. No one's an expert in everything, but we all know a little bit of everything, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's me, jack of all trades, master of none.
I mean, that's especially for people like us as well. Everyone with ADHD ever knows a little bit about everything.
Yeah. just
Because we
constantly
can't help
jumping from.
ourselves.
Well, and even someone said this
I
to
have
me.
a
I
new
was
hobby.
like, yeah. Someone said, "How did you learn to sew?" And I said, "I don't know. I just started doing it when I was a kid." And they were like, "Oh wow!" And then they were like, "Oh wow!" And you do calligraphy? And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "When did you start doing that?" I said, "I don't know. I was in high school and I just started doing calligraphy." They're like, "Oh wow!" "Oh, and you play the piano?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, when did you start doing that? I don't know. And I just
It was at some time when I wanted a new thing to do because
yeah.
all of the other things that I did no longer interested me because I wasn't immediately a genius level.
It's not even that. It's like
Oh, that's how it
because
goes for me.
see, I'll get to the point where, especially with things when I've overcome, for me, it's the challenge. I really like a challenge. And when I
Mm,
don't feel like it's challenging anymore, I drop it and move on to something else.
fair, fair. I am my
I'm so...
own worst critic, like big time.
Oh, no.
So I'm one
Oh,
of those people
no.
who, like, I will do a piece of art, like the logo that we've got, for
Yeah.
instance. When
Yeah.
I did that,
Our amazing
I
logo.
hated it.
What?
I
Fuck
hated it.
you.
I sent it to you. I sent it to everybody, and I was just like, there is nothing more I can do to this to make this better. I fucking hate it. Hopefully everybody else likes it, and then at least I can go by consensus rather than my own thoughts. So yeah,
Do you know what? I reckon
hate
if
my
you'd
own
sent it, I reckon probably like if you'd sent it to me halfway through the process, I would have been just as fucking blown away. I would have been like, oh, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? I've got at least 6 hours more work to do on this thing. And I'm just like, it's the Mona Lisa. It's fucking gorgeous. So the fuck's wrong with you?
I hate my art.
Yeah, it's better than the one that I did of myself. Did you see the fucking shitty job I did the one of myself? AI could have done a better job than me. And I went, that's amazing. I'm putting it everywhere. Jack of all trades, master of some, oftentimes better than master of one. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with that, Tom. Absolutely. Defamin. Can we block Defamin? Someone's already done it, haven't they? I bet you someone's already done it, and I'm saying that. Yep, it's already done.
Love it.
Lily's already banned him even before I even had a chance to
Fucking
open my mouth.
smash them.
Yeah, I don't even know why I bother saying anything. I should just ignore them when they pop up. There's no point even worrying about them.
Yeah, right. You don't want to say their name out loud on stream. Somebody,
No.
one of our million mods has got them.
Yeah, definitely. I will just say, I noticed, that was why I noticed that Amy wasn't on my page, because they didn't have a sword.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you better go make some mods on your page while we're here.
I probably should, hey.
You probably should.
Just get a
And
few people
reported.
into mods.
Bang. Done.
Good one, Lily. Fucking amazing
Yeah.
work.
Amazing work. Legends. Legends all around. Okay. Now, let's get back into this, shall we? Oh,
Yes.
This is terrible. So, see ya. Thanks for visiting and bringing me treats. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Swords. Pronounce the W. Sorry. Yes. In our grand tradition of mispronouncing things, we must always mispronounce things. So, as I mentioned, that in 2009, the minister first announced, I bought treats, of course. I love the treats. So in 2009, the minister first announced the project to convert Rangeview into a young adult facility and have all of the detainees moved to the Banksia Hill facility. This wasn't completed until 2012, a full year and a half after, a year after the project was supposed to be completed. The delay in completing the building project placed significant stress on detainees, staff, and management. The amalgamation was continually deferred. Numerous serious incidents also occurred on the Banksia Hill site. So as the facility was sort of ready to go, and then it was delayed, and then they were ready to go, and it was delayed, it kept sort of creating more issues with staffing and all kinds of other things for the facility. By 2012, just 3 months after the amalgamation first happened, concerns regarding the management team's ability to manage the situation at Banksia Hill resulted in a change and the introduction of a brand new management team. Just 3 months after the amalgamation.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, we're having problems now, but these problems have been going on for a very long time, and they've been pointed out for a very long time. And this is like with capitalism, we've been pointing out these problems for a decade and a half, and people want to
Yep.
pretend that this is a new thing that we're dealing with.
None of this should be a prize to these guys anymore.
No, exactly. So, in the 2012 investigation into the crisis that happened during the amalgamation and the detainee response, the Office of the Inspector of Custodial Services of Juvenile Custodial Facilities have painted a picture of constant staff shortages. An inspection carried out in 2011 showed that frequent shortages in the staffing were noted by the inspector, and they warned at that point of critical importance of maintaining adequate staffing levels into and beyond the amalgamation period. So this was flagged as an issue by the inspector back in 2011. And this is before the amalgamation even happened. They were already having staffing issues at that point before they had the influx of detainees.
Yep.
Yay. Yay. See, I didn't even mention that one. Kelly was just straight on it. There were a number of contributing factors to the alarmingly high levels of staff absenteeism. It was clear that Banksia Hill was unable to assertively manage the problem, with chronic under-resourcing of human resources at the centre level and a lack of support and resources from head office. So they were understaffed at the human resource level. They were understaffed at like the infrastructure and maintenance levels, and this led to a flow-on problem where they then became understaffed at, you know, the working level because there weren't the staff there to continually replace staff turnover. Now, it is well known that custodial sentencing has a high turnover of staff due to the demands of the job. It's quite a difficult facility to work in. And I want to make it clear to anybody who is listening that I don't blame the blame at the foot of any individual working within the system. While individuals within the system have behaved abhorrently at times, including the way that children have been handled by staff within the facilities, and I certainly would like to see these individuals face consequences for their actions, the blame for what has happened at Banksia Hill firmly remains at the feet of our government officials, because this has been an issue that the McGowan government was well aware of. The Cook government is more than well aware of, and yet continually we hear feedback from the minister, from the office, from the government that their first priority needs to be the safety of their staff.
Yeah.
The safety of the staff has been a concern at Banksia Hill for over a decade. The continual focus on the safety of staff has done nothing to mitigate the issues happening within the facility, because the safety of the staff is a consequence of the mismanagement of Banksia Hill. It is a result of what has been going into the facility. And so using the staff's safety as a smokescreen for the government's mismanagement really is quite bullshit, because the staff are only at risk because of how poorly the McGowan government has managed the facility.
Yep.
These staff would not in any way, shape or form be at risk if the government took a more proactive approach to the way that they were treating children within the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Because the response to the issues with the staffing results that were taken on by Banksia Hill after this time show that not only was the 2012 report completely inadequate in really addressing the issues in Banksia Hill and why they were an issue, but because of the focus, the language really focused on how under-resourced the staff were, how under-supported they were, how few staff they had in the facility, and that poor management of this amalgamation was another crucial contributor to the deterioration of the staff culture and morale. While the report said that the Amalgamation was a textbook example of how not to undertake this kind of project, despite the best intention of all involved. A fundamental error was the discontinuation of the project coordinator role and abolishing the management to start all over again. So, like, just dealing with staff turnover by turning over more staff. And that the culture, there was a distinct culture at Rangeview and a distinct culture at Banksia Hill. But so much of the report focused around this culture and the lack of cultural cohesion, that it really ignored the way that the treatment of the detainees themselves was at the forefront of what was causing this issue.
Yeah.
So while the report mentions differences in culture many, many times, it doesn't at all detail what kind of culture it's talking about. That being the culture of violence, a culture of isolation, and isolation tactics being used, separation of detainees into ICUs, these solitary units. These solitary units had been established as a way to monitor youths who were at risk of harming themselves. So originally it was a way to give them a quiet, away from other members of staff, away from other detainees, somewhere where they could be alone, not be at harm to themselves or anyone else, to either calm down, work out what they were going through, or if they needed it, just to have some alone time.
Yeah.
It was not designed in any way, shape, or form to be a punishment, a system of detainee. What do they call it? They call it emotional management,
long-term detention,
behavioral management. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was not supposed to be a form of long-term behavioral management. It was specifically supposed to be done with the intention of the wellness of the detainees.
Yeah. Giving a space for somebody who's overstimulated to
Yes,
have a place
exactly.
that's theirs to calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, workforce attendance was an issue for both facilities long before the amalgamation happened. And this amalgamation was sort of being pointed, like Banksia Hill didn't sort of show a serious staffing shortage, but there was a staffing shortage, obviously. Rangeview was sort of showing more that it was having serious staffing issues, a really hard time holding on to staff. And this got much worse over the 3-year period in between inspections. It was noted that the deterioration was substantial. The shortage of custodial officers led to rolling lockdowns, cancellations of activities, and increased levels of overtime. This is a line that keeps getting overlooked in report after report after report. The shortage of custodial officers leading to rolling lockdowns. This phrase started appearing in reports as far back as 2005.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Near 20 years ago.
20 years ago, talking about youth detention facilities in 2005, that staff shortages of custodial officers was leading to rolling lockdowns. This language hides the very real grim reality that this is talking about locking children in isolation units.
Yep.
As a way to manage staffing shortages at detention facilities.
So it's not even like the kids have done anything particularly egregious. It's
Nope.
just to make up for the fact that they don't have enough people.
I made a TikTok about this when I first joined the app 2.5, 3 years ago now, where I pointed out that it was on Wednesdays at Banksia Hill, detainees were locked in solitary confinement for 8 hours a day, every single Wednesday, because there was a big meeting that happened every Wednesday, and it led to staff shortages so severe that the only solution was to lock all the prisoners in their cell. And that was deemed an appropriate solution, despite solitary isolation being deemed a form of torture by the United Nations Humanitarian Council.
Like, okay, I'm sorry, but I can't sit by myself for 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
without some other form of import without starting to lose my mind. If I was made to sit for 8 hours in a room by myself with nothing to entertain me, I would come out of that room swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And these are kids. I am 37 in a week.
Yep.
These are children.
As young as 10. My kid who threw a capsicum at my head because I didn't let him read the book that he wanted. His brain thought a
shouldn't
rational
laugh.
response. I did. I had to hide my face to stop myself from laughing.
That's why I'm saying I shouldn't laugh.
Exactly. That's how ridiculous it fucking is. Because his response to being told he wasn't allowed to read the Jolly Postman was to throw a capsicum at my head. Like,
You won't let me read the Jolly Postman? Here's a fucking delivery. Yeet.
literally. Read this, motherfucker.
Your package has arrived.
And what's really disturbing, sorry to bring the mood crashing back down really, really quickly. What's really
It's all good.
disturbing about this is every time you mention the fact that this facility is used to lock up children aged 10 up to and above the age of 18 for those who are finishing their sentences, the first thing people will say is, well, it's rarely under the age of 12. As though it's okay to rarely
that's
commit
okay.
human rights abuses on 10-year-olds. It's okay to commit torturous human rights abuses on 10-year-olds as long as you're only doing it rarely.
Oh, and even worse. Oh, but they're 2 years older than that. They're 12.
Yeah,
So that
they're
makes
12.
it fine.
Yeah, they're 13 years away from their brain being fully developed instead of 14. Like, it's so much better. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So who's in charge? Just a quick question, and purely for science reasons, not because I'm planning on going and letting someone catch hands. Who's in charge of the youth jailing system in WA?
Oh, the Honourable
now?
Paul Papalia.
Okay, cool.
The Honourable Paul Papalia. Yeah.
No worries, Paul.
He's also the Minister for Tourism, Racing and Gambling, Defence Industry, Veterans Issues.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The Minister for Racing and Gambling and Imprisoning Kids. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
What the actual fuck?
What the actual fuck is correct.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you whose officers I'm going to go find.
Hey.
For a conversation. Nothing else, ASIO. Just in case you're watching this stream.
Yeah,
it's
we just want to go and ask him.
That's all.
We just
a little chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfucking real.
Yeah. He's also the Minister for Police.
Heated. He's also the Minister for Police.
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah. I mentioned that earlier, but I didn't mention it just then in the list of other things, so I thought I'd just bring it up. Yeah, he's also the Minister for Police. Yeah. Yeah.
Conflict of interest.
Just a little bit. Not like your whole job or anything. Now. Yeah.
Fuck.
Back to where we were.
Sorry for interrupting.
No. You're okay. Where are we? Honestly, we need to interrupt away. Otherwise, I'll honestly just keep monologuing about this for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. We were at the point where they were, you were talking about how they would lock kids away every Wednesday because of a big meeting.
Yes. Yeah. That was the, up until all through COVID, that was happening all through COVID. And I'm not sure. I haven't found anything that said that has ended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that became their policy during COVID. Now, here we go. Is this the one?
I'm pretty sure they're public, Juzzy.
Who's Puzzy? Are you studying to be a lawyer, Tamara? Look, eventually.
Ish. But yeah, I think detention centres are public, not private enterprises. I think
Some of them. We do
Some of
have
them.
some. Banksia, I'm actually not sure if Banksia Hill, I'll have to look into it. No. Banksia Hill. So Rangeview was closed down and it was actually turned into another facility, which was a private facility. This is going to be a bit controversial for everybody. So, oh God, it was a privately run facility, privately owned. They wouldn't let the union in. And so the Labor government decided to close it. But the reason they wouldn't let the union in is because it's the police union, basically. And they were a very low security facility, and they had actually introduced a program that was resulting in reducing recidivism. So they had a gradual release program that allowed prisoners out, detainees out for day release into the community. And like they had a few other, different farming programs and things for detainees who weren't allowed out into the community. So they were still like outside, they weren't in a prison facility all day. And the program was showed to have a really great rate on reducing recidivism. But they wouldn't let the officers union in, and so yeah, it got shut down. And I know it sounds really bad to be simping for a private prison, but technically if I was to take over a prison to try and create something different, that would be a private prison.
Banksia is managed by the Department of Corrective Services.
Excellent. So it's managed by...
It's public.
Us.
Yep, not private.
Yay. But... What was I saying? Lost my train of thought again. Quick.
Sorry.
What was I saying? So that's okay. Now, the Commissioner for Children and Young People has said that as Commissioner for Children and Young People in Western Australia, this is Jacqueline McGowan, as Commissioner for Children and Young People in Western Australia, I'm extremely concerned about the continued lack of care for our children and young people incarcerated. The safety of the children is the number one priority. I urge the Western Australian government to immediately consider new models that include restorative justice approaches as an urgent priority, rather than the heavy-handed approach we are seeing play out now and too many times before. This program that I was talking about was one of those such systems that was actually shut down. Now, when we talk about as well the rolling lockdowns as a result of a lack of staffing, what we need to remember is that this doesn't happen as like a first step in the stage. Like Jimmy calls in late for work and now we've got to have a lockdown of the facility. There are other programs and things that are cut first. So to get to the point where we're having rolling lockdowns at this facility, let's paint a picture of what life is like for a child being removed from their family, from their school, from their community every day at Banksia Hill.
Have you frozen, buddy, or?
Oh, no, I'm waiting to see how long it takes for us to all want to pull our hair out because we've got nothing to fucking do. Because all of the programs for these children have been cancelled. All of their school activities have been cancelled. They'll be lucky if they see a teacher for half an hour a week. And that's a result of the staffing levels being not enough staffing to ensure teachers' safety going into these facilities. And so we can't have teachers coming in because we can't ensure their safety.
It was very effective, bud. You did well. And I was the perfect fucking foil to that one. Bravo. Bravo. For a second there, I sat there and I just stared at the camera and I was like, oh, are we looking pretty for the camera now? Is that what we're doing? And then I got bored. You see how long it takes me?
Yeah. Yeah, hair is pulling. Hair is
Less than
pulling.
20 seconds.
Yeah, TomTom, that is actually one of the first things that we're doing. Now, there is an ad starting soon, so we're going to get up and have a little walk around and have a break for a sec. But I will talk about our plan for a better system when we get back, because I actually think that's a pretty good idea. So should we break for a sec?
I think that's a
Do
good idea.
Do you want to get up and I'll stay, or do we both?
No,
move?
you go for it, bud. I just had an ad run on my channel just before.
Oh, we're supposed to run them at the same time. I didn't realize you. I thought
mate, I know, but
I thought if we
useless.
started at the same time, they would have all started at the same time.
No, I think we might be on different schedules, buddy.
Damn it. Oh, well, that's all right. We have to work that out next time. It's going to be off of you again. That's where I like them. I'll be right back.
No worries, mate. Oh, boy, oh, boy. This conversation is getting me so fucking heated. I hate it. I hate it. Like... So I'm just going to point out, and I know that everybody in chat already knows this, but I have a captive audience right now and I need to rant, and I need somebody to hear it. The very idea that Anthony Albanese, the absolute wank that he is trying to block access to social media and gaming platforms, so things like Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam, for children under the age of 16. The fact that he's trying to step into that, but not trying to step into 10-year-olds being incarcerated. That's okay, according to federal labor. But a kid being on social media or playing video games? No. That's not cool. And I would like everybody in chat to take a moment to consider why the idea of having age verification gates to internet use that link back to the federal government might be appealing to a Labour government that is slowly, or not so slowly these days, pushing further and further to the right of politics. Why that might be an appealing thing for them to seek out. Why do we think it might be that Labour would be interested? Well, it's because having an age gate on internet access, making you verify your age, they will do that using a legal government document. So that means that they can link all of the things you do online to you legally. Now, they already sort of can, because realistically they can get ASIO to ask one of the ISPs just to tell them who owns that particular internet connection. So it's something that they can do, but because you're going to be entering your personal ID to access the internet, it then says that it's definitely you, not somebody who is in your house or visiting on your Wi-Fi, or a neighbor who might have stolen the Wi-Fi because you didn't know how to set up a password. You know, it cuts out all of those potential others that bring in doubt to the situation. By linking your government ID to everything you do online, if you organise for your union, if you organise a protest against genocide, if you organise a protest against something like Banksia Hill, anything that you do online, up to and including telling Anthony Albanese to go and fuck himself on Twitter, which is one of my favourite pastimes, I'll be honest. Anything that you do will then be tied into you. And the plan has never been about saying, oh, we're just looking after kids. That's just the smokescreen.
Hello?
Hi, buddy. I was just talking about Albanese and how he wants to age gate the internet for kids under 16. But locking kids 10 years old and up away is perfectly acceptable. I was talking about how maybe people should have some consideration for what actually the plan is here. It's not about age gating the internet for kids. It's about tying your ID into your internet usage and removing that element of doubt. Like maybe it's a neighbor who's using your Wi-Fi, you know? So, yeah, just having continued conversations while you've been away getting a cuppa.
Yeah, and I was going to say as well, don't forget that this is not going to stop the people who are finding ways to get together and do awful things to children. It's not going to stop the people who are finding ways to ship drugs into our country. It's not going to stop the people who are using the internet for nefarious purposes. The only people that it's going to stop, the only people it's going to target are the people who are organising above board, out in the open, in public, on social media platforms to get together with other people to stand against governmental tyranny.
Yep.
That's the only people that this is actually going to target and affect. Because I don't know a single fucking 13-year-old who hasn't already worked out that they can go into mum or dad's wallet and get out their ID and take a fucking photo of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I don't know a single fucking kid who hasn't already figured their way around the fucking what they're planning to do already. Photo of mum, photo of her ID.
I also mentioned one of my favourite pastimes, which is telling Anthony Albanese to go fuck himself on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like a daily thing at this point.
Might be time
Albanese,
to get schooled on the dark web.
Might be time to get schooled on the dark web.
Just been solving, yeah, absolutely. It's solving all the world's issues around here. So, one of the things that I was going to say, so solving the world's issues in terms of the commune. So one of the first projects I want to get started is a diversionary program. Now, I mentioned earlier Judge Quayle.
Yep.
Who has described the detention of children in Unit 18 and at Banksia Hill as barbaric, cruel, and a form of child abuse.
Yep. Good to see a judge saying shit.
Yeah. So he has actually come out and said to children when they've been released that we're now going to release you from this service worse than when you went in far more aggressive, far less rational human being than you were when you went in. And has also in the past said that he will make the call to convict a child and sentence them to time served in order to not have them go back to Banksia Hill. Yep. Because of how abhorrent the treatment is there.
Good shit.
Yes.
Good to see someone with ethics up on the bench.
Yes. What is very unfortunate is that the only power that judges and magistrates have in these sorts of situations is to, in their sentencing remarks, basically say these sorts of things, and they're sentencing, like they're in the middle of sentencing someone. So they have to sort of cushion saying that with, but that doesn't excuse what you've done, and you've still committed crimes, and you're still. So the difficult thing is whenever you're looking at any of the information around Banksia Hill, and we are definitely going to have to split this into two. So today we're going to be talking about the background of it. Next week we're going to actually talk about how, probably not next week, actually let's take a break. Next week we'll do WA Incarcerated next week because you've been waiting for a month to do it already.
That's kind of my fault though.
No, not your fault. Not at all. My fault. I'm a rambly little. Anyway, we can share blame. It's fine. Right. So we'll have a break next week, and then the week after, I'll go into the actual what the children are actually experiencing, and we'll play that video from Four Corners. So I won't play it this week.
Yep.
Um, But the term, what's really important to remember, whenever we're reading any of this information, whenever we're talking about any of like the stuff that's going on here, it's really important to remember that the term solitary confinement doesn't actually appear in any Australian legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So while they will say that we don't have solitary confinement here in Australia, you will see phrases like isolation, lockdown, separate confinement, segregation. All of these words mean solitary confinement.
Yep.
All of these words are ways of trying to get around the very real reality of the situation, which is that we are locking children as young as 10 up in solitary confinement, and our legislatures don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
And so they're doing everything they can to obfuscate this fact using language. And whenever you're reading anything about that, it's really important to remember that, because every single article, every review that you look into about every incident that occurs time after time after time, they'll point to the same sort of issues, with staffing being a massive issue, and about not necessarily the training of staff, but having so few staff that the options in terms of detainee management are often limited in terms of what they can do. Now, again, not to get too much into it, because we're going to talk more about it next week, but a lot of the criticism, while not necessarily being about the way that prison staff themselves have handled themselves, a lot of the time we'll talk about the fact that they're put in a situation where the options left to them are limited. And one of the questions that pops up again and again and again is, why do they even have this option at all?
Mm-hmm.
Saying that they are limited with the options and the resources they have, and so they have to do something inhumane, doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. If you take away the fact that these are criminals we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because we label them criminals, suddenly we are allowed to do abhorrent things to them. And time again, I keep finding myself trying to explain to people that prison is the punishment, especially when you're talking about a centre like Banksia Hill. Banksia Hill, as I mentioned earlier, is the only youth detention facility in the state, meaning that you have children as far away as Esperance and Broome being taken away from their families and taken to this facility for, as soon as the call is laid into the police and they are being detained,
Mm-hmm.
they aren't being detained locally. They are being sent and taken away. So these aren't children who've been convicted. These aren't children who are necessarily guilty of anything.
Yep.
These are simply children who are being held in police custody or in state custody for one reason or another. They're being held by the criminal justice system.
But there's been no proof of their guilt.
They haven't necessarily been convicted. Now, as I said, there are obviously detainees who have been convicted within Banksia Hill. But over half of the population at Banksia Hill at any one time has not been.
Yep. Over half.
Over 60% of the children who are held in Banksia Hill are there on remand.
Mm-hmm.
Half of that number don't get to see a magistrate, a judge, any kind of like bench whatsoever before they're released, because the time that they have served is the maximum time that they would get for what they'd been held for, regardless of if they're ever even found guilty.
Unreal. So they're not even being found guilty of the crime. No. They're being held for the maximum sentence that crime would carry without ever being found guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking unreal.
Which is why a lot of the time judges and magistrates in youth cases are sentencing children to time served.
Yep.
Because they've already served the time before they've even made it in front of the magistrate. And what we need to remember is that if half of the children who are being detained are serving their time before they're even making it to a magistrate, that means half of the children who are being, like, half of the children who the judge is releasing into the community and saying not guilty served the time for a crime they did not commit, and there is no recourse. There is nothing that they can do about it. And simply for having been no compensation,
imprisoned.
Nothing. Absolutely. They're missing out on school. They're missing out on activities with their friends. They're missing out on time with their communities. They're missing out on culturally significant activities in their communities and things taken away from their country, removed and taken to this place. found not guilty, sent back, and just expected to pick up their lives again with no help, no support, nah. Once the judge says not guilty and they walk out the courtroom, they have nothing. They don't even get help. Half the time, they don't even get help to get back to their country.
So, probably a stupid question here, and I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. But
God,
I
it's gonna be
want to
depressing.
confirm it before I start filling up glass bottles from the servo over the road.
Haven't we
Are
already
these
started?
same kids also being subjected to isolation without ever having been found guilty of a crime?
Every single one of them.
And that's where we're ending the stream. I have stuff to do. That's fucking unreal.
Because remember, Banksia Hill has used lockdowns as a way to manage staff shortages, meaning that we have children who have done nothing wrong, who are being taken away from their homes and their communities and put in solitary confinement on a regular basis for no fucking reason. Just because we can. Just because we're allowed to.
I am so glad that we're splitting this into 2 parts.
Yeah.
If we were going to do the full thing today, I'm pretty sure I would wind up doing something that would land me in a prison.
We should probably end it there, hey.
Possibly, because I
feels
am.
like
I
feels
am
like
wild. Right
we're
now,
both
Tamara.
seething a little bit. Yeah, it is too
I'm
far gone.
wild.
So what I did want to end on today, and I did actually, Tom, what you brought up was a really interesting way to segue into it. So let's just do that quickly. I'm just going to quickly do a quick. Now, I did actually have the figures on this, and I don't know where I've put them, so I'm just going to have to Google. I'm going to have to do a quick Google.
Of course. In the meantime, I will practice breathing exercises.
Yes. So, Department of Communities and Justice have revealed that per state spends approximately $100,000 per child to incarcerate them per year. Approximately. Sorry. No, not $100,000. I forgot a couple of zeros. It's nearly $1 million. It's just under $1 million a year.
Per child.
Per child to incarcerate them. So the 100 prisoners problem is a mathematical problem that basically... No, hang on. No, that's not the right one. So basically the prisoners problem is basically that the more prisoners that you have, it's supposed to be that the cheaper it gets per prisoner to incarcerate them. So the more children you have, the cheaper it gets to incarcerate them. The problem, however, when it comes, this is the maths that's been used to kind of work this out, that like we'll just chuck more people in there and then the cost is reduced basically. Yeah, mind-blowing, $1 million. The problem is particularly when it comes to the incarceration of children, the math doesn't work. And unfortunately, no one's ever really done the math because in terms of the wraparound services and things that are needed to support children in these situations, you get to a point where you basically, it costs more per child than it would if you like had half of the numbers at a certain point. And we've certainly like reached that. Now, the imprisonment, Australia's prison dilemma is something that has been coming up a lot recently because we have a ever-growing and expanding prison population in Australia. Our prison population is actually one of the fastest growing prison populations in the world, even outpacing the growth of the American prison industrial complex. The rate that we are incarcerating Indigenous women is the fastest rate of incarceration of any population on the planet. When looking at the way other countries treat their prisoners, people will often say, well, if you don't like it here, go to Argentina, go to Russia. It's important to remember that both Russia and Argentina do not allow the imprisonment of people under the age of 14 years of age. They do not allow solitary confinement under people under the age of 18. And their imprisonment rate is a far lot lower than what ours is for minority groups within the population. Yes, you cannot speak out against the government without being trapped in a prison cell, but just look what's happening here to a lot of our political dissonance. and ask yourself if
Yep.
it is really that different. Then have a look at what's happening in Banksia Hill and remind yourself that in these countries, while they might not allow adults to speak out against the political regime, they aren't locking up, incarcerating and locking up, torturing children as young as 10 years old on the regular because of staffing shortages.
Mhm.
That is not happening in Argentina. That is not happening in Russia.
10-year-olds that may not have even committed the crime they're being held in Banksia Hill for.
Yes. 60% of which haven't been proven to have done anything wrong. 60% of children who are in solitary confinement haven't been proven to have done anything wrong. We could take that money and we could envision something vastly different for ourselves. Not only would it not cost $1 million a year, in fact, we could spend about $1 million per child over the entire lifetime of the program, $1 million per child who entered the program, and we could give them housing, training, education, mental health support, and community-based corrections programs that would ensure that not only were they able to remain within their communities, who would be able to offer the best help and support for them to overcome whatever they're going through, but also provide wraparound services to try and help beat whatever intergenerational issues that have led to this child coming face to face with the police force in the first place.
Yep.
Because while a lot of people will look at figures like 76% of the children who are currently incarcerated at Banksia Hill first came in contact with police due to trying to steal food, for example, they'll immediately turn around and say, well, they were stealing food because the parents had spent the money on drugs. They'll immediately start trying to find some reason that it is an issue that the child needs to be removed from that situation, and it's a good thing actually that we took the child away. What's actually been proven again and again and again, and particularly within Indigenous groups, is that sorry, it fucking went to scroll up and I hit the fucking wrong thing, didn't
refresh the page.
This is far from the case. First Nation female leaders from across Australia have come together just to prove that this isn't the case in a number of different summits that were attended, including the representatives from Grandmothers of Closed on Dale Now. What's really, really impressive about seeing these kinds of groups coming together is that the vast majority of people are from within these communities that children are being taken from. These are the adults from these communities coming together to advocate for their children, the same communities that you're telling us are the reason that these children are doing these activities in the first place. Instead of looking at every child who is in Banksia Hill as a criminal in need of reform, if we instead look at them as a child who has been handled by the state instead of by the communities that love them, we can maybe see where the problem is actually stemming from.
Yep.
Every single model of restorative justice globally really highlights and really, I was on a roll then. I was so fucking on a roll then, and I lost the word. Fucking lost the world. As soon as I lose a word, I'm off. I'm off of it.
I know how that goes, hey.
Well, anyway, basically any program that you look at around the world that it works on restorative justice programs highlights how important it is to involve community in the justice program if we want to have the best outcomes for both the community and the individuals impacted by crime. Most restorative justice programs require the buy-in of both the victim and the perpetrator. And this is actually quite easy in communities in Western Australia because most of the time the victim and perpetrators are already acquainted with one another. You don't often in these communities get instances of victims and perpetrators being completely foreign to one another. These children aren't traveling miles and miles out of their way to break into random people's houses. They're breaking into the houses of their teachers, their classmates, their neighbors. Getting the community that they're a part of to buy into a new program that would instead help these children to change their behavior rather than dragging them away, locking them up, torturing them, and expecting them to come out the other side somehow more adult than they went in makes absolutely no fucking sense and is in direct contravention of Article 37 of the Rights of the Child, which prohibits cruel and inhumane treatment of children in detention settings. Australia, however, has chosen not to sign on to this optional protocol to the Convention of the Rights of the Child. Exacerbates, thank you, Tim.
Why do you think that might be?
Yeah.
That Australia decided not to sign on to that.
Mm.
I wonder what the purpose behind that
Mm.
is.
But the really important thing to take out of this, and because we are going to end it there just because of how depressing it is, and then maybe we'll let Maddie rant for a bit so I can cut some of that so that it isn't just me, wall of text, yelling for 2 hours. The important thing to note out of all of that, though, is that there is a hell of a lot of money that is going into youth detention services at the moment that could be much easily and better spent. And the government is eagerly looking for solutions to the problem that they've created for themselves. So under the not-for-profit model that we're envisioning, it would actually be very easy, provided that we could provide the facility to divert a few of these kids, especially those on remand, our way. Ensure that they were able to stay on the community, help out, learn, be educated in an environment that is set up for children and for communities and not as a prison. And not only then, provide funds to ensure the proliferation of our community, but also save these children from a fate worse than death, which is what Banksia Hill has been described as by the detainees, who I'll start next week by reading that because I don't want to go into that now. That's going to take us on to the next step, which is the WA government was found to have illegally held 3 teenage children.
And that will be for next time.
Yes, because that goes into what life is actually like at Banksia Hill. That's the next part of it.
Yeah. What we'll wrap up the pod here. Then I'm going to have a bit of a rant because I have a lot of mental energy that I need to get out.
We'll rant first, and then we'll wrap up the podcast because I want to intersperse it so that it's not just me yelling the whole time.
No, that's perfectly understandable and fair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to clarify a few things, right? So you mentioned that it's almost $1 million a year per child to be held in Banksia. Is that accurate? That sound right?
No, that's how much federally. That's how much on average federally it costs. So it varies from state to state, but it's about $1 million per child that we spend Australia spends about $1 million per child to incarcerate them. I didn't do just Banksia Hill.
Right. Okay.
Let me look that up quickly. So, I used to know the numbers for just Banksia Hill.
That's cool. So federally. I'm on an ad. God damn it. Give me.
Yeah, I'll run my ad now as
seconds.
well. And I'll run my ad now.
There
betcha. You go. Ad buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. I promise I have a direction I'm going with this.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Chelsea's over your side too.
Yep.
Traitor.
I did drop in chat that if anybody popped into my chat, I would give them a mod. I'm trying to get to 130 people following me on this bloody platform. I'm at 119 at the moment.
We'll be able to get there easy. I mean, I say that
it took me ages.
Away. It took me ages. And you know what though? When I stream through Streamlabs, every single fucking time I'm streaming through Streamlabs, I don't know why. I think it's because I think Streamlabs are doing something. But every time I stream through Streamlabs, I'm like, wow, you got 6 new followers today. Wow, you got 3 new followers today. I'm like, really? Why? Do you know what we should do?
What should we do?
You Streamlabs.
Yes.
So I come into your Streamlabs as a guest,
and
then you do the camera. Do you know what I mean? The virtual camera.
Yeah. I can give that a crack. Next time.
We ads are over now.
Just so you know, Tamara can actually see all of your chats because our Twitch channels are linked together. So you kind of told Tamara, not me. You can't blame me for that one.
I can see your comments and it pops up and tells me where you're commenting from. The first time when you posted, the first time thing you posted was, oh, an ad break. And the first thing I said was, Juzzy's cheating on me.
Oh, Juzzy knows, not afraid.
It's okay, I've been cheated on many times. I've survived. Do your worst.
Jesus.
It's true, ain't it?
Lordy Lou.
Rant,
okay, so
rant,
where
rant,
the hell was
rant,
I? Right.
rant, Maddie rant.
Okay.
This is the part of the show.
I will. All right.
This is the part of the program where Maddie goes off his handle. This is the part of the program where Maddie goes off their handle for a full 30, 40 seconds. Let's see how long it takes. Let's give him a full minute. Let's give him a full 60 seconds.
Good luck.
Depends how fast you rant, I got to say.
Okay, so we established before the ad break came in that we're looking at almost $1 million per child to incarcerate them for the space of a year in a detention facility. Okay? Now, Tamara did say about the possibility of maybe spending that money in a better way. Now, let me ask a question, right? One of the leading causes of youth crime in this country is lack. Okay, so the lack of resources, the lack of food, the lack of secure housing, the lack of mental health services, the lack of health services, any of these things, the lack of a secure home life. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, what's one other group of people in this country outside of prisoners that the federal government feels very, very comfortable in neglecting? Okay, and that is the unemployed and the disabled.
Oh,
right.
Yes, sorry, and the immigrants. Yep.
And immigrants, yes, but sometimes also unemployed, very rarely disabled, because Australia has a very xenophobic, anti-disabled people policy when it comes to immigrants into this country, right? So people who are
Just
Yep,
quickly, just to let you know, because this is probably going to fire you up a little bit more on your rant. There was a huge, massive section of the Disability Commission's report that was released specifically about the treatment of young people in detention and how it relates to disability, because 90% of the children who are incarcerated 80% of the children who are incarcerated in Banksia Hill are found to have some form of disability.
What a twist. What a twist. And we've just had the disability NDIS completely gutted. It was already incredibly hard to get onto it in the first place. So the supports that were there have now been absolutely gutted, and it was already nigh impossible to get onto the fucking thing anyway, right? So we've got a triumvirate of groups of people who are routinely and categorically ignored by the federal government because it is profitable to ignore them. Okay? And that is prisoners, that is the unemployed, that is disabled people, right? All three of those classes of people.
I think it's also really important to remember that the criminal is also really importantly the class of people that the government exclusively creates. A criminal isn't born a criminal. They don't become a criminal. You don't earn the badge of becoming a criminal. The state declares you a criminal, and they're therefore allowed. You become a subclass of human. We're allowed to treat you differently. That this is no different to apartheid. You're labeled criminal, and therefore you have your level of living expectation is substandard and subpar.
Yep.
And you've done nothing literally the only thing you have in common with another person who's in that same category is the label the government's decided to give you.
Yes. Now, Belle, I see you mentioning Indigenous people and addicts. You're absolutely correct. Those groups do
fall under the call of criminal.
Those groups do tend to have what's it called? The fucking chart where you've got the circles and the
Venn diagram.
Venn diagram, thank you. Those categories of person do tend to have quite a lot of intersectionality in a Venn diagram. So yes, absolutely, you are correct. There is a lot of Indigenous ignorance from the federal government. There is a lot of addiction ignorance from the federal government, and all of this is done intentionally. right?
I was going to say that I think it's really, because like going back to what I was just saying about it being like a form of apartheid, it's really important to remember when we're talking about this where policing, crime prevention, the criminal justice system came from.
Yeah.
Policing was born out of slave patrols.
Yes.
Like the criminal justice system was born out of slave catchers and imprisoning black people for trying to get their freedom. And we created the criminal because we were no longer allowed to label them the slave.
Yes.
So it's really important that when we say, like, you know, and Indigenous people, whatever, it's like the only reason the criminal class exists is so that the government has a class of people. And it used to be the poor whites until they came here and found black people. And then they went, oh, we can do it to the poor black people instead. So, yeah.
But and please note, this next portion is heavily dropped in air quotes, okay? But my fingers will get tired if I keep throwing them up all of the time.
I'm going to mute this so you can rant without me interrupting.
You'll interrupt before long, I promise you. Where the fuck was I? I was saying something. My brain was there. I'm off.
They create the class, apartheid state.
There we go. Thank you. So, as you said, it started from slave catching and throwing black people into prison for trying to gain their own freedom or trying to run from where they were being held as a slave, okay? Then they created criminality as a class, okay? And criminality was then expanded. So now not only do you have your darker skin toned people, your black people, your slaves, your ex-slaves as the case may be, but now you also have any undesirable person within society can now be put into this criminal subclass. And the criminality extension even extends past people who have actually been convicted of a crime. Look at the language utilized around people who are on welfare, okay? The term dole bludger, okay? That is a term of criminality. It is a term of otherance. It is a way to other people who require the welfare safety net that we all fucking pay for with our taxes and is there to support us if we wind up in a position without a job. Okay, which happens because capitalism requires at least 5% unemployment in order to function properly. So there needs to be a group of unemployed working age people for capitalism to correctly function. And yet that group of people who are technically making a sacrifice for capitalism are labelled as dole bludgers because it allows the government to pit other people against them and then use that otherance to belittle, to demean, to refuse service, to refuse increase, and to make it by community decision because they have raised this hatred of people who are just utilizing taxes. Handouts. You're right, Juzzy.
People, sorry, we all forget, people act like the social safety net is there to catch you when times get tough. They act like the social safety net means that it's the social safety net's there to catch you in case you need it. No. The social safety net is there so that the poor people don't get so desperate that they come for your fucking head, Elon.
Yeah. Yep.
The social safety net is there so that people don't look around and go, I'm starving and you're looking pretty fucking tasty. That's what the social safety net is there for the wealthy, not for those who are lacking. It's not like if we got rid of and time and time again, whenever we see hierarchical management structures removed from the system. And I understand like anarchist argument that there always seems to be like this natural hierarchy that develops, like, you know, 100% get that. There does. You see it all the time in every fucking group. There needs to be someone who's taking the charge and taking the lead and getting shit done.
Yep.
But in terms of that being their job and their role versus them being a manager who answers to a body corporate who it's very different. People act as though management structures are the same things as having a leadership role in a group, and they're not. Like when I say anarchism, I understand that in tribal groups there were still levels of hierarchy because it was based on age and experience and knowledge and information, and yet labeling people users for accessing services they're entitled to.
Yep.
Service accesses, access the service that is there. Just access the service that is there. That's all. Like, because it's like sitting, it's like people constantly say, I remember when I was at university and someone told me to apply for the Indigenous grant. And I said, no, I didn't want to apply for it because someone else would be, more entitled to it, blah, blah, blah. You need the money more. And she turned around and she said, then they'll get it.
Yep.
You can't decide that you will get it just because you applied for it. If someone else needs it more, deserves it more, the body will decide that and give it to them.
Yep.
But if you don't apply for it, then they're not going to think, they're going to think there's one, they'll say, oh, we had 12 grants to give out, but only 10 Indigenous people applied. So next year we'll only have 10 grants to give out. Like, it's not up to you who gets the grant, but you can just apply for the fucking thing. And then you see fucking Ray Gun going out there doing what she fucking did. And you're like, oh, fuck. But wait, there's those. But that's the difference between a person, an individual applying for something and then someone trying to use the system in order to game it to access something. So that's, very, very different situations because she was not, she didn't just show up and try hard and then win a spot. She literally gamed the system to, anyway, not the point. What was I saying?
So where I was going with that, right? There was a point and a purpose to me bringing in welfare and disability and things like that, right?
Sorry, that's right. You were ranting, not me.
It's all good. It's all good. Having us intersperse our ranting is actually really good because we bounce off of each other very, very well.
Yes.
Now, the reason that I bought in, right, the Centrelink payments, okay, the maximum amount that a single person with no dependent children can get in a single year on Centrelink payments is less than $20,000.
Yeah.
Works out to $762.60 a fortnight.
Yeah.
Right? So less than 20 grand. And yet, to incarcerate a child in this country, it's close to $1 million a year.
Yeah.
For one child. Right?
Yeah.
Why don't we take some of that $1 million that it costs for the child to be incarcerated, and we put some of it into the support for the family of that child so that they are able to give that child a better life and have the child not seek out crime as a way to improve their standing. How about we take some of that $1 million and put it into mental health services in the town or community that they live in?
Yeah.
How about we put it into
community-based correction services?
Something for the poor fuckers to do. I have lived in wheatbelt communities. I have lived in far north communities and far south communities where anybody who is aged between 8 and the time you can get your P plates has absolutely fuck all to do.
Yeah.
There is nothing for people in some of these communities, youths, to actually do. There are no skate parks, there are no cinemas, there are no movie rental stores. The internet is dog shit. So you can't even access the internet to entertain yourself that way. Phones don't have connection of 4G or 5G out in these places. So you can't even
I
access
can't get the internet
that way.
I can't get the internet on my toilet. Everyone talks about going to their toilet, taking their phone to the toilet, and I'm like,
take a shite and scroll Twitter.
No.
Right?
This is why I never respond to anyone's messages. When do you guys all get back to everybody? You all get back to each other when you're on the fucking toilet. Don't pretend you don't.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie.
My phone doesn't work down that end of the house. My computer is literally plugged in directly to the Wi-Fi box. It's like into the modem, sorry, that's plugged directly into the wall. That's the only way that, and still it froze earlier. Still it froze.
Yeah, that's how it works. But like, this is the point I'm making, right? Like,
yeah.
what
How
do we
dare you think and make
expect-
sense holistically? Yes.
What do we expect? Like, what is the outcome for these kids if at every stage they are set up to fail? At every single possible stage, they are set up to fail.
Yeah.
There is not enough money for their family to buy the food, to pay the internet bill, to the rent, to support their kid in a safe home environment. There is not enough money for community services, for supports, for doctors, for mental health professionals, for alternate options for children to be looked after and shown that, yes, things have been bad, but they can get better. Here's how we can do it. Community support is so deeply important and it is so frequently ignored. And anybody who has disabilities, their lot is even worse. The amount of people who are on disabilities, and I have seen it, right? They're put into work placements, right? The work placements are the most mind-numbingly boring things, right?
Untangling
Like, for instance,
headphones.
yes, for instance, people in disability who are on work placements will do work for Qantas. And they will be the ones who pack the little knife and fork and spoon and the napkin into those
Untangle
little
the headphones
packages,
and put
or
them in the
untangle the
headphone
headphones
packages.
and sanitize them and seal them into a plastic bag. This is what we have our disabled people in this country doing, and we pay them $2 a fucking hour.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it actually, because
fucking dollars.
It works out less than that because the service that is the employment service that they work for, I think Active is one of them.
Yep.
They
Active
also
is
take
a
a
big
cut.
one.
They also take a cut of that money. So the disabled person sometimes can work all day and get as little as $11 for the whole day.
Yep. And the idea is
less than $2 an hour.
The idea is that this is community engagement, that this is giving them social life, sociality.
It's not. They've
But
got
it's
they
not,
get who
because
gets
none of
social
these
life at
jobs-
work? Yeah.
Well, none of these jobs have interaction between staff. You
No.
have quotas to make. You have to do a certain amount of
They've
work
got
an hour.
KPIs.
Otherwise, if you don't meet those KPIs, you don't get paid for that day.
It's not like, okay, it's not like at the op shop when you've got the people who, because it used to be that Active would get the disabled people in at the op shops helping to sort out the clothes. Now, that is very interactive because you're sitting there, you're sorting out clothes together in a big group, chatting. It's a volunteer charity. There's other people who are there volunteering. It's not just the disabled people. They used to get them in doing that. And then I don't know what started happening, but the people who are at our local ones now are employees, and they turn away a lot of stuff, which I get. You can't take a whole heap of stuff. But they keep saying they just don't have the people to sort through it. They don't have the people to sort through it. So they can't even accept clothes because they just don't have the people to sort through it. And I'm just like, what happened to the groups of gaggling ladies from, these disabled places where they have to work in order to get, because they have to work to get the disability payments.
Yep.
So it's like, so what happened? Because I was getting emails through COVID telling me to go and pick strawberries for my work hours because we didn't have any farmhands to pick the strawberries. So I know we're still pressuring people to work for nothing for these programs.
Yep.
So what happened to them? Why are we not doing this anymore?
Because
Is it
what they're doing now is they're putting people who are on youth study, and they're putting people who are on the dole into those placements at places like your charity shops.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I was going to say there's no one at the charity shops anymore. There's literally just no one there to sort the stuff. That's why they have to keep turning the stuff away. I was kind of gonna say, might it have anything to do with the fact? Do you think that perhaps Qantas might be paying Active on the back end for this
Oh, yeah.
slave labor
Abso-fucking-lutely
in a
they
way
are.
that Red Cross maybe didn't have the money?
And the government. It's not just Active, because the government has to
Oh
okay it.
yeah, the government are doing that.
So they're getting
I mean, in terms
back-ended
of
as
where
well.
they're working, though, the government have set up the whole program. But in terms of where they're working, why are the disabled people working these awful fucking jobs on these like, what do you call it, factory production lines, instead of doing the jobs that were originally like,
And actually bring community.
yeah. And it was like, okay, the community's paying you. Like, to me, I don't agree with it. Okay, I don't agree with the idea that you have to do anything to earn your living at all. Like, that just to me, to earn to be alive is just, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Yep.
Like, again, I'm not going to be a lazy grasshopper sitting on my ass not doing anything, but I'm out there gardening, growing veggies all fucking day. I've got veggies growing out the wazoo, and I'm paying off the mortgage on my house. Why do I also need to? Anyway.
Yep.
Just the whole idea of having to work to stay, fucking cost of living is the biggest fucking idiotic statement in the entire fucking world.
Yes, the price of being alive.
The price of
fuck
being
you,
alive.
capitalism.
Literally, born with a debt over my head that no one told me about till I got to 18. Then they told me I was responsible for it. And I went, what? My parents like, yeah, it cost us $1 million to get you to this point. I'm like, what? You didn't tell me it was going to cost that much. I'm going back inside. Fuck this shit. Anyway.
Congratulations for being alive. Your problem now. Yeah.
Your problem now. Fuck that. I didn't sign up for this.
I have so frequently said to my mum, hey, I didn't choose to be brought into this life. You made that choice for me. Therefore, if ever I'm in hard times, you're paying.
Yeah.
And my mum's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's what my parents say too. Well, when I said to my mum, well, I didn't choose to be born, my mum's like, I didn't choose for you to be born either. And I was like,
oh, that's a fun one when they come back with that, isn't it? Makes you feel real good about yourself.
Well, I'm also like, I don't want to give away my mother's medical information, but I know she made other decisions. You know? Yeah. She did make other decisions. There were times when she did not make that decision. Yeah. There had been decisions made that didn't result in a human being. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Seems like a decision was made to me. Anywho. Yeah. Just saying. My mother wasn't like, in a cult like I was when I was pregnant with my Dom's child. Comment. If I said that to my dad, he'd be like, bro, I have less money than you. That's usually what my dad said. Usually, if my dad, actually, do you know what? Not usually. Every single time my phone has rung and it has been my dad, he's been looking for money.
Mine's dead, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, I like hearing from him, so it's not too bad. It's nice to hear from him every now and then.
Mind you,
sometimes I go up there and I even see him.
Can't really call the person who donated half of my genetic material my dad. He's definitely sperm donor. Like
sperm donor, yeah.
Yeah, he does not.
Not to rag on my dad. Yeah, no,
doesn't deserve the term.
Oh, my dad's a hard worker too. This is the problem. My dad's drunk the capitalism Kool-Aid. My dad has three jobs. My dad has 3 jobs. He literally finishes one job and like he jumps on another job and starts driving Uber and doing delivery. And he was getting pissed off because he's like, oh, gets to like 9 o'clock at night and I might as well just sign off and come home for 2 hours because all the guys finish their shift at the restaurant and they all jump on the apps and start doing Uber. Yep. And I was like, you finish your shift at 5 o'clock and jump on the apps and start doing Uber. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, yeah, but I've been doing it for years. And I was like,
yeah, but there's somebody who starts work for Uber at 12 o'clock and you jump on at 5 and they're thinking I might as well sign off for 4 hours. Because now we've got the guys who, start at 5 and then start at 7. So like,
I was going to say, but also, you're not better than them because you've been, what's the word? You're not better than them because you've been like grinding for longer. I started buying into this bullshit about getting another job to sustain myself instead of looking at systemic issues years before they did. Okay, that doesn't make you better than them.
Yeah, Belle, I'm okay. I just saw your comment.
Yeah.
Yours drank the
Yours
Kool-Aid,
drank the
mine just
Kool-Aid, mine I
drank.
just drank.
Same, babes. I think we
My
might
dad
have
does
lived the
work for
same
the
life, Belle.
dole. Oh,
Can't work due to health, was an electrical engineer, sorts
working
tests
for the
and
dole
prices to
feels
keep his
so
payment until he's
exploitative.
old enough.
That's what I was saying before I got distracted.
Yep.
So I actually hate the fact that we are making people work for a disability payment at fucking all. We've looked at you
Yep.
and we've said capitalism is going to be much harder on you than the average person
Mhm.
on account of the fact that you have barriers to entry, that capitalism, given that it's all based on the market and the market will
Yep.
take care of it, the market's not interested in whether or not you can access the building in your wheelchair. So
Yeah.
it's going to be much harder for you to find a job. So we're going to pay you instead, but we're going to
Mhm.
make sure it's not enough to survive on. We're going to make sure that you're always struggling. We're going to make sure that you really, really struggle for it, and we're going to make you work for that money as well. That just never sat fucking right to me. If you are making me work, then it should be a living fucking wage.
Yep.
If I'm giving you anything back in return, it's
Mhm.
slave labor unless you're giving me a living fucking wage, because the social safety net is supposed to be just that. It's not supposed to be like, but at least when you had people who were working in the local community, it was like the community is helping you support yourself, you're helping support the community, you know, like. But to find out that people aren't earning enough to support themselves, that these organizations are taking a cut of the pie, that it's so fucking exploitative, and that they're working for these corporations that are making huge fucking profit off of their backs and giving money to places like Active on the side. It just, it's so fucking exploitative.
It's the same as people who work for the dole. You know,
Yes.
people who work for welfare. Like,
Yep.
how much money do the work placement joints get when they sign you up for a job? Because let me give you an idea, right? My partner was on the dole for a long time. Okay, they were very sick.
Yep.
Right? We finally got their diagnoses. ADHD, autism, etc., etc. Got all of the diagnoses sorted, got medication to treat, and they were able to enter work, right? When they left the welfare payment to go into work, the person from their job placement centre, I shit you not, hounded them with phone calls 3 times a day for a month and a half, despite the fact that they had absolutely no input to my partner finding work. They found it off their own back. It wasn't a recommendation or a suggestion from the work placement place. But for a month and a half, they were hounded with phone calls 3 times a day while they were trying to work.
Yeah.
And in the end, they left their phone home with me.
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone.
Yeah.
And I shredded this fucker a new one and basically told them that if they kept it up, I would be paying an in-person visit to the job placement centre.
I had this doesn't surprise me at all. I had very, very similar experiences with this whole thing when I was. So, for those of you who don't know, if you are put on like a parent, any kind of program you're put on in this, any kind of payment plan you're put on this country, you are put on some kind of program where you've got to meet certain obligations in order to get that payment. You do not get money for nothing in this country ever.
Yep.
People sit there and go, you just want money for nothing. I fucking wish that was how it worked.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
it be
the
lovely?
single parent payment. You don't, single parent payment. So for those of you who don't know, people think, they say that with a single parent payment, there's no obligation to find a job until your youngest child reaches the age of 12. But they'll put you on parenting programs, and they'll put you on job programs, and they'll put you on work placement programs just to make sure, because they're trying, they advertise it as, we're trying to ensure that you keep your skills sharp, and we're trying to make it easier for you to re-enter the workforce. And it's designed to help people make sure that they're better equipped to re-enter the workforce. And at the time, I was studying at uni full-time, working nights at a bar, and running for political office on the side. And I kept saying to this person, like, can you just leave me the fuck alone? All you are doing is making my life more difficult. They wanted me to do things like take my child out of school because she was in kindy, to take her to the library, to the rhyme time program. as like, and get the woman to sign off at the library to be like, I was doing, and I'm like, what is that? How is that helping me keep my skills sharp in the workforce and get ready for the workforce? Because my kid's in school and I'm at university trying to get a degree to help at work, and you want me to stop all that, and I had to leave class so many times to answer phone calls, and I'd have to like attend appointments when I should have been at class, and I had a couple of times that they were like, we're going to call you today between this time, and I'd be like, well, I've got an exam, so my phone's not going to be on, but good luck. And then I'd get a message from them being like, well, we did warn you we were going to call, and I'd be like, and I had no way to tell you that I was not available.
Yep.
Like, you just decided you were going to call.
I don't have a direct contact line.
And I don't have a direct contact line. And you know that I'm a full-time student. I have to keep sending you my transcript and my timetable to keep proving that I'm enrolled at university so that I don't have to go sign up to all these programs and shit. So you know I'm at fucking university full-time.
Yep.
You know that I'm working. You know that I've got 2 children. You know all of this fucking shit. Why would you assume I can ever answer the fucking phone? Have you never met someone with children?
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. And like, my ad is starting in 45 seconds, Tam.
Oh, mine's just started.
Okay, cool. I'll start it now.
Hey, ahoy, hoy. Hey, hoy.
Ahoy,
Lily
hoy.
O2. Is it
If you can
04
hear
Lily
us.
O2? If you can hear us, that's a good point. If you can hear me.
Thank you for letting me go on a rant. It has made me feel a little bit better.
Oh, I feel like we got so distracted. We should do the closeout of the podcast when we get back, though.
Yeah, I agree. When we come back from
Belle's
that, we
here.
should close out the pod.
Oh, we could do it
Belle.
now. It's only for it's for the recording. It's not for them so much.
True.
They don't care.
That's a good point. All right.
Yeah.
So in that case, with all of that said, we are going to wrap up the podcast for this week. I would like to thank you all so much for joining us for this week's dive into the depths of the trash fire that is Australian politics. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, make sure to drop us a follow and do all the usual engagement things to help us get the word out there. You can find Tamara and myself on the social media links in the description below, but for now it's garbage day, so the girls got to take the trash out. Bye.
Bye. And I realized at the beginning with the way that I did the introduction, the way I'd set up to do the introduction, I didn't actually leave any spot to say who the hosts of the show were.
No, but that's okay. You were absolutely on one, and it matches the vibe of this particular episode of the pod. It is well deserving.
I was going to say, did you like the way that I did that? The way that I...
It was very impressive, actually. Very impressive. So, Belle, are you telling us that this podcast is actually a reminder to take your bins out? Because I fucking love that. If that's, yeah, I love that. That makes my heart happy.
I do. Me too. We didn't do it for that reason, but it's the reason we were
funny bit of information. My 20, no, not 20. Jesus, I just de-aged myself by a decade. My
Can you just de-age me by a decade too? That sounds great.
Why not? We're all 10 years younger.
We're all 10 years younger. Money just decided. Yeah.
Yeah. So my 37th birthday, I should say, is on the King's birthday.
Ah!
Public holiday here in WA.
There you go.
So
Public holiday gets smashed.
The next pod that we do will actually be my birthday pod.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention. I can't believe I forgot to mention. I cannot believe I forgot to mention. The reason I specifically wanted to talk about this today is because there is a protest happening outside Western Australian Parliament House this Thursday at midday. Yep. If you are in Western Australia, please come along. Please come along if you are able to get there. I am driving up from the southwest. Not the southwest, sorry, from the Great Southern. If you are in the Great Southern and you want to attend, let me know. I can get you. I can pick you up and we can head that way. Because I want to try and get as many fucking people there as possible. So if anyone, why would you be in WA? For the protest, Dom? For the protest.
Yeah, for the protest.
12 p.m. Western Australian time. So it'll be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be live streaming it as well, hopefully with Manny by my side.
I will be there.
Because
I will be there with you.
I am going to be the only person, I think, with a phone on me in my group. I have nominated
Yep.
myself as what do you call it? Media person,
The phone
media
person.
spokes, media. So when media come up and ask questions, I'll go up and talk to them and stuff as well. So I won't be doing any arrestable activities.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter that I have my phone on me. I'm
Yep.
disappointed. I wanted to do an arrestable activity, but apparently I'm too much of a liability.
I am going to basically glue myself to your side so that you can discourage me from arrestable activities.
I won't though,
Because
Maddie.
because if I don't come home, these cats are going to riot and make my partner's life hell, and I can't do that to them.
The last demonstration I was a part of, I was arrested.
Yeah, but if you're doing media and being good, then maybe it will encourage me to also be good.
No, because if I'm doing media and being good, I'm going to be like, I'm not allowed to. You need to go do it. Go glue yourself to the stairs. Don't
Right.
glue yourself to me. Glue yourself to the front stairs. Quick.
Right.
I'll hold the super
So-
glue.
Okay, so I will. I guess I'll just be hanging by myself for this one, trying
the
my
last-
best not to do naughty shit.
The last protest, I glued myself, but the one before that was just painting the outside building of the Shell building, and the police didn't even arrest us. They were just like, "Are you planning on cleaning it up after you've done your little photo shoot?" Because we were taking photos of us having graffiti the front of the Shell building, and we were like, "Yeah," because we had all the cleaning equipment there. Because the whole point of it was kind of like we clean up our messes, but Shell doesn't, because it was after the oil spill. Yeah.
Nice.
So we had all the cleaning gear there, and we made all of this like big display, and then the photo shoot was us cleaning it up. That was the
Yep.
whole point of it.
That was the point. Mhm.
Yeah, so it wasn't us doing it, it was us cleaning it up and leaving it. So we did it, and then we sat there and waited for the police to get there, because we figured once they got there we could be like, we're going to clean it up, like, do you want to sit there and watch us? Because we were like under duress, like, you know, the state
Yeah.
making us clean up our act,
Yeah.
but not Shell. How ironic.
I
But the
love
cops
it.
were just like, nah, see ya. They left. They didn't
So-
give a shit.
Question for you, Tam.
Yeah.
Should I bring my camera with me and actually document things?
Yeah.
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 It's
They'll
not a
be.
video
They'll def-
camera. It's still camera only.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Nancy Miles Tweedy, who's a friend of mine, she does a lot of. She's a protest photographer. She'll be there, and she'll be doing a lot of that stuff as well. So if you stick to her side, then you won't get arrested.
Cool. I have a high vis vest, so I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't worry, Dom. Every single photo I take has EXIF data stripped. As soon as it loads onto my computer, it auto strips it.
Yeah.
Puts in a bunch of false information. There's absolutely no way I'm leaving that shit available. Gotta be joking.
No, and I think the really good thing as well about like,
It's the joy of
When-
single-use CF cards.
well, the good thing about demonstrations like this is that you do get a lot of people who know their shit and know how to handle. Like, you get people who are like legal liaisons, you get people who are like police liaisons. Like, you've got a lot of people there who know their shit, who are there. So it's a lot less scary being involved in this kind of a demonstration. So if you're
Yeah.
someone who has wanted to get involved before but has found it a bit intimidating, or didn't know what to do, or was just worried about what would happen, this is exactly the kind of thing you should show up to, because it's really well organized. There will be people there to handle those kinds of things if anything sort of goes sideways. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
I'm just
Definitely.
these days I'm a little bit old for the being hit by cops with batons. I
no,
went
they
through
don't.
that 10, 15 years ago. I've been beaten by enough cops in my time. I've done my service.
They don't beat anymore. They have this bag
that's
thing they
pleasant.
have to put you in. They're not even allowed. Yeah. So we had a couple of people. It was in between two demonstrations actually that it changed. It was so funny. Because we had a woman, I won't use her name obviously, but she's a little bit on the older side, and her shoulder got dislocated while she was being removed by the police. And so they started bringing in, now the West Australian police have to bring in these like stretchers, and they pick you up, and they're not allowed to, like, there's only certain places that they're allowed to touch, and certain ways where they'll touch, and they pick you up and they put you in the stretcher, and then
Really?
2 police have to carry you away in a stretcher. They're not allowed to actually carry you away, like drag you away arms and legs anymore. They have to put you inside one of these stretchers to
I tell
take
you
you
what,
away.
good luck to them. They'll need more than 2 cops to move my fat ass.
Yeah. Well,
Come
it's
at me,
really
boys.
for the photos when you're being taken away. It's like you can't. It's done in such a way that you don't get those really cool photos of people being dragged out of protests anymore either. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of see how they've done it to also be a bit of a PR thing, where when you're being taken
Yeah.
away, you kind of could only see this grey sack, and then
Oh
there's
my
this
God.
person's hand out the top, just being like, "Hey, I'm being
Wankers.
repressed. I'm being repressed."
Wankers. Well, yeah, I'll bring my camera down with me, and I'll throw on the
Yeah.
fluoro vest
Yeah.
and make sure that I'm doing things that way, because even if they have stopped hitting people with batons,
Yeah.
I would rather avoid any potential getting.
Well, you
thrown
can stop
inside a
me from
lockup.
getting arrested then. How's that? You sound like you're a
You
lot more
betcha.
determined to not get arrested than I am.
Yeah, look, let me put it this way. If I get arrested, my partner is going to fucking roast me. And I
what
do
if,
not have the
though-
mental fortitude to deal with that.
What if then I don't take my phone, you take my phone, and you just live stream me until they arrest me?
All right, you bet.
Okay, cool. We'll do that then.
If that's what you want to roll with, bud, I'll play.
I'm not getting taken with anything on me. That's all. Like I
Yeah,
literally
no.
have nothing but my ID on me when I go to a protest.
God, no.
Usually, I take my driver's license. I take my driver's license and my Medicare card in case I end up in the fucking hospital, and that's it.
Yep.
That's all I take with me to a protest.
No worries. Any
And a bottle of
shit
water.
that you want held, I will have my camera
Yeah.
bag with me, and I will chuck it in the camera bag until
Perfect.
such time as you are processed and released back into the community, at which point I'll come pick you up.
Do you know what the worst part is as well? Is I can't tell them that I'm autistic,
Mm-hmm.
because if you tell them you're autistic, they put you in solitary confinement immediately.
Yep. Which are kind of the opposite that you should do.
It's so like the first time it happened, I was just like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, this is so bizarre. Luckily, it was only for a couple of hours, but it didn't feel like a couple of hours.
No,
Did not feel like a couple of hours, because you're just
No.
sitting there.
because it's
like,
fucking
and-
torture.
Yeah, and luckily as well, it had been a really big day and there'd been a lot of adrenaline, and so I did fall asleep. Like I wasn't.
You crashed.
Yeah, but in the other room, there was like the other protesters in a group singing and having a good time and talking and like openly planning the next protest. Like, and
I
I
love
was
that.
like in the other room, just like, which is why I think. Wait, who don't we tell? No, we tell everyone. Who aren't we telling? What aren't we telling?
No, we tell everyone.
Tell everyone.
Protest
Wear
next
pants
Thursday.
with a butt flap and then shit all over when the yes. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, no, the police. If you're a part of an arrestable action,
Mhm.
that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
No, don't accept the police. Don't tell the police anything. So
don't tell
if
the
you're part
police
of an arrestable action and you're part of a large group, because the you can just tell them later on in the piece of it, if you need to, if it comes down to like dealing with a lawyer or going to into a magistrate's court or whatever, you can simply say that adrenaline was high, like all your friends and things knew. You didn't think it was relevant for the police to know. You didn't think to mention it because there was so much other stuff going on. Like, you'd just been arrested, for God's sake. The fact that you're autistic is a fact of your life. It's not something that's always on your mind. It's literally just a fact of your life. So you didn't
It's
think
just
to
part of
mention
the
it
person
to
you
them.
are.
Yeah. It's not like being diabetic where you need to have medication on you. And so you need to mention it more often. You know, it's literally just, it's like being Indigenous. It's just a part of who I am. And I don't think about it unless I'm in a situation where it directly becomes relevant. Obviously that's not necessarily exactly the case, but that's just what you roll with if it comes to it, because the way the police will deal with you as someone who has a mental disability is very inhumane.
Oh, yeah.
Very inhumane.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying, never to talk to cops. Dom, you weren't here. Were you here earlier when I said what my kid said the other day?
I don't think Dom was in the chat at that point, but you should absolutely repeat it because it's
Oh
fucking
my God.
gold.
I was chatting with my friend in the kitchen and we were talking about, like she was talking about telling the cops something. And I said to her that that's your mistake right there. What do we say? Like, what do you like? What do you say to cops? And my kids from the other room, like I'm sitting there chatting with her, and I said, well, I can't remember exactly what I said to her, but I said something like, "What the fuck are you gonna like? What are what are you gonna say to a cop anyway? Or like, why are you talking to a cop anyway? Or like
Yep.
I can't remember exactly how I
Something along
phrased
those
it.
lines.
But from the next room, I hear my two kids yell out, "Shut the fuck up!" I said, like,
Love
what are
them
you saying?
kids.
What are you going to say to the cops anyway? Yeah.
You
And
don't
they
say
both
nothing,
yell,
you shut the fuck up.
"Shut the fuck up!" And like it didn't even stumble over whether they should say the F word or not. Like very loudly and proudly, both said it. It's
Good
very
on 'em.
important. Yeah.
Legend effort. And look, a phrase like that coming from the mouth of a child is somehow so much more efficient than coming from
So
the
much
mouth
more
of a
efficient.
blue-haired fucking weirdo like me. But
Yeah.
a 10-year-old screaming at you to shut the fuck up when you're around cops, that shit hits different. As a matter of fact, Tam,
Yes. Especially since
I
one of
have
them's
a
7.
favour.
Yeah.
So I am working on an intro song or a theme song for this pod at the moment.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So what I want you to do is record yourself saying to your kids, just audio, not video, and what do we do when a cop asks you questions?
Yeah.
And have your kids respond with "you shut the fuck up" as loud
Yeah.
as they can. And I
Yeah.
will work that into our theme song
Yeah. Okay.
because I think that'd be
I was
funny as
going to say,
piss.
I'm also working on a theme song, so now we're going to have the battles of the theme songs, the battle of the theme songs.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
I love it.
Either that or we can collab.
I mean, we could do both.
Yeah, why not both?
Chaos nos dos. That's my favorite thing to say. I'm like, chaos nos dos. And every time
Yes.
I do, my mum turns around and goes, no dos. Nos dos. No dos.
Or, if you're in my situation, ¿por qué no los tres? Cuatro, cinco, siete.
Chaos nos tres. Why not? Oh.
Why not three,
I
four,
had-
five?
I had Gremlins
But what
just
about
piped
seventh
in.
partner?
Gremlin, who rarely pipes up, rarely, just, I was going to make an
Holy
inappropriate
shit.
comment about liking to watch then, pipes up with two cops just barged down my door recently for an inappropriate wellbeing call. What the fuck?
What the fuck, Gremlin?
Excuse me? They did fucking what?
They
Now,
did what?
Can I just say right now, I have had to work with police officers locally for wellbeing calls. Never have I ever had any of them knock down a door. Ever.
If it was a well-being call that was actually needed, what effect do we think that kicking someone's door down would have on someone who is in mental crisis?
Yeah, exactly.
Just let's have a think.
Fucking
I
hell.
don't think it would be positive. Ambulance was also there. I only let Ambo inside, only told them enough for them to leave, said if they wanted medical info, they would need to subpoena from my solicitor. Good work.
Very good.
The
Very,
correct
very good.
response.
Yeah, the only fucking response. I can't think of a single situation. This is the thing when people quite often, because especially like in light of what we were discussing today in the podcast, but you quite often will get people who'll say, you'll be lucky for the police when this or that happens or when some other violent thing happens. And our reliance on the police, our reliance on the violent armed wing of the state to step in with person-to-person conflict, we seem to, like, because the common law system sprang up organically. The common law system sprang up organically the same way that your kids, when they're having an argument, come to you to sort it out. That's what the
Yep.
common law system was. Joe and
Yep.
Billy were having an argument about whose sheep it was, because my ram broke into his pen and fucked his sheep, and now he's you. Now we've got a
Yep.
lamb, and we're arguing over who it belongs to. Let's go to the mayor and get him to sort it out. That's how the
Yeah.
common law system, it sort of sprung up naturally as a way to try and mitigate disputes between people.
It was arbitration.
Yes. So common law sprung up out of what these days isn't even practiced under the criminal justice system. Like, the criminal justice system was designed, the common law system sprung up naturally as a way, that is these days what we would call civil law.
Yeah.
So you have to pay for a lawyer to go to court to because you and your ex are having an argument about something, and you need lawyers to mitigate or whatever because of X, Y, or Z. That is the only kind of legal system that used to exist. Think about how often you engage with the civil legal system. We can all think of a million ways every day that we interact with the criminal justice system. I mean, we probably can't actually. We're probably not all that aware of it, to be honest. I wish we were more aware of it, but
Oh, yeah.
people are surprisingly unaware of how much impact the criminal justice system has on their daily lives. But in terms of civil law, we seem to be a lot more aware of how limited our interaction with civil law is. And yet, the reason civil law was established, it was established to stop Joe and Billy from beating each other over the heads with bats to try and figure out whose lamb it was. So people turning around going, who are you going to go to when things go bad? The answer is, we used to go to the magistrate, and then you put a wall between me and the magistrate, and now I've got to go, like, I've got to prove that I'm in physical fucking danger before I can get a magistrate involved in this situation.
Yep.
And it's like, we came up with a way to solve issues that didn't result in violence. We came up with a way to try and mitigate the violence inherent in, like, in conflicts between human beings, and it was the civil common law system.
So we came up with a method,
yes,
to stop things escalating to violence.
Yes.
And then as life became more commodified...
And you're fucking getting an ambulance bill. Sorry. Oh my God. Sorry.
They put hands on me, which sent me... They put hands on you. Dude, what the fuck? I understand the ambulance bill thing, not from I understand why you're getting it, but I understand the position that you're in is what I mean. Because I had a anxiety attack at my work when I worked in a call center. And I told my manager that I was having an anxiety attack and asked if I could leave my desk for 10 minutes just to calm it down. And in that space of 10 minutes, they had called an ambulance.
Fuck off.
And I got stuck with a $1,400 ambulance bill.
No!
Yep. Because, of course, I didn't take the ambulance. Because it was an anxiety attack and I know how to calm them down. So I took my 10 minutes to myself to calm it down, and by the time I came out from where I was, the AMBO officers were there and I was fine again. So because I didn't take the ambulance to the hospital, I got stuck with the full cost of the bill.
I was going to say, even if you took it to the hospital and then you got to the hospital and it wasn't deemed an emergency, you can still get stuck with a hospital, because that's what happened to my sister. My sister was found unconscious at a work party. And so they called an ambulance and she was taken to the hospital, and she had her stomach pumped, and it turned out someone had put something in her drink, but she felt herself go funny. And so she went into the bathroom and locked herself in the bathroom stall.
Good choice.
And one of her work colleagues came and found her in there and found her unconscious. And so they called an ambulance, and the ambulance came, took her away, pumped her stomach, figured out what had been given to her. Yeah, very good choice. This was at a flight center event. So you know what they're like.
Oh, yeah.
So I had that happen to me as well, and it was really lucky because I had a mate, big gay guy, That's important because I went up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "You're going to have to carry me out of here." And I like slumped against him. And sure
Yep.
enough, he picked me up and carried me out of there because someone had put something in my drink. And I was like,
The amount of
I need to get
times
out of here now.
The amount of times I've been that person for other
Yeah.
people is unreal.
It just happens all the fucking time. Girls getting their drinks spiked at office parties, at work functions at Flight Centre.
Yep.
Happens all the fucking time.
And
it's
not
ridiculous.
just Flight Centre, by the way. It's pretty prevalent, but it happens at so many office parties. So many private company events where I have been a security guard at the venue. I have had a woman come up to me and be like, I feel like someone has fucked with one of my drinks.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to pass out.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've just taken them back to the office, put them in there, locked the office door, and left a note with my direct phone number for if they wake up. It's like, look, if you wake up, fucking come get me, and I will check on them periodically to find out what's going on, or get them to open their phones so that I can call a contact of theirs to bring them.
Yeah.
Because most
I've
of
had
the
to do
time
that a
it's
lot
thumbprint.
too. Well, a lot of the time with the girls, when like I'd be at the bar and stuff, they'd see you because I was always on the floor keeping an eye on things. Like I was always one of those bar managers where I was like, if I'm not literally on the floor, how the fuck do I know what's going on? So I would bust tables when I was managing. That's what I'd do.
And we love people like you. Hospo workers love a manager who comes to the floor and doesn't just sit in their fucking office all day.
I was never in my office. The computer was in the glassy stand.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah. So the computer was here, literally where my computer is, and I'd turn around, and it was literally I wouldn't even have to take a step. I could turn from the computer, and I'd be at the glassy stand, literally. So yeah, the amount of times though I would slip, I'd go down because the phone would be ringing and the floor's wet, and I'm like, quick, what? Just not great.
God.
Let's speed up the commune. Actually, can we do an island somewhere? Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. And if say it's like failing an island, we should have enough people to dig a decently deep moat.
Yeah, moat, definitely we're going to have a moat, don't worry. And I was going to say, it seems like there's a lot of interest in the commune growing. So I think we'll also have a standing army before long. So don't stress. We'll be all right. We may as well be an island.
Dibs.
I forgot what I was saying then. What were we talking about? Oh, that's right. Getting people getting their drink spiked. So because I was on the floor and I was always coming and going back from the glassy station, quite often you'd have girls who would spot you and they'd follow me into the glassy station because they were like, I need help. How do I get out of here? Like I had a girl who was like, I've called an Uber. I need to get out of here. Like someone spiked my drink. I think it's that guy there. I don't want to go back through it. So I took her through the kitchen and took her and we got the Uber and she was fine. She went home. But just by being out on the floor because if there's a young kid on the floor clearing glasses, no one's going up to them for help.
No.
In that sort of situation. When is that where you smoke the old glass BBQ? No, glassy station is not. That's by the bins. That's out by the back by the bins.
Some people maybe. But no, usually out in the back alley by the skip bins.
Yeah, that's where you smoke the blongs. No, the glassy station's just the dishwasher where all the glasses. Because believe it or not, you've got a dishwasher running the entire time a bar is open. There is a dishwasher in the house running somewhere.
Yep, constantly.
They're always the glassies. For anyone who hasn't worked in hospo, I'm sure everyone here has worked in hospo because this is the kind of crew we got. Yeah. But what ends up happening in the glassy station is you get these crates. They look like milk crates, big milk crates. And you stack all of your drinks in them. And then you can stack them like 4 or 5 high with all the dirty glasses. And then it's just basically like a production line. You just get them and swing them into the dishwasher, close it, turn it on, rack in, rack out, rack in, rack out. And then when the rack comes out, you're sitting there polishing them, putting them up, polishing them, put them up, polishing them into the tray, into the big tall tray that you then have to wheel out to like wherever the glasses go so you can actually stock them up in either the kitchen or in the bar or like wherever. And again, I didn't work in a particularly big restaurant. Like I worked at a cocktail bar, so it was mainly cocktail glassware that we were doing. So we had quite a decent glassy setup, but we
Yeah.
weren't serving like thousands of guests a night. Or probably we were actually, to be honest. Like, we were pretty pumping. We were pretty pumping. But I mean, we weren't like the Ritz where we had like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of staff, or like we had 6 staff on at a time at any one time in the bar. That was it. So this wasn't like a massive production by any means. So you can imagine how upscale, how big these things get in terms of how many dishwashers you've got and how much,
Oh yeah.
you know, we only had 2 dishwashers in the whole fucking place.
Yep.
Ah.
I used to work at a place called Deville's Pad.
Oh, yes.
Before that, went out of business. Fucking love that joint. That was one of the best places I've ever worked, man.
No.
Just an alternative club, like
Yeah.
that rock and roll karaoke on a Thursday afternoon, which always used to
the
go
Crystal
the fuck
Crystal.
off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dom, bartenders and glassies aren't on the gear. That's
No.
your cooking staff. Your bartenders and your glassies are on MDMA.
Or they're just smoking joints.
Yeah, or someone's Adderall pills, you know.
A lot of stoners, a lot of
Yep.
coke heads.
When you get into upper management cokeheads, but coke here is too expensive for a
Oh,
bartender to get
yeah.
anywhere
No,
near
all
it.
the coke heads were upper management. All the coke heads were upper management. All of
Yeah.
them.
My word.
And
yeah.
actually, no, when I say
the amount of times
Yeah.
I walked into the bartender's office, the boss's office, and just found a big old pile of blow on the desk.
Clearly you haven't worked in Hospo and Frankston. Maybe not. Maybe not.
You're right.
I was
haven't
going to
worked
say,
in Frankston.
the only people who ever did coke were always assholes. I've never met someone who does coke who's not an asshole. And that is because of the expense. They're always have to be so rich that they've got money to burn or like snort. I'm sure people say the same thing about me and my weed.
But yeah, like.
Yep. Yep.
Dear me. All right.
Yep.
It is getting to that time.
I was about to say that. It's going to be 3:30 in about 3 minutes.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I think we might call it
feeling-
there.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm feeling so too. I'm feeling I'm excited about next week. I'm very excited about next week.
Yep. Yep. It should be good fun.
It should
very
be.
interesting. It is a very in-depth
Yes.
topic, so I will apologize to anybody who tunes in next week.
Don't apologize. We'll make it entertaining.
I mean,
Fine.
it's also my birthday stream, so come celebrate my birthday because I'll
It's
be
your
turning
birthday
37
next week.
on Monday. Yeah,
No
Yep.
way.
yeah.
We have to organize something. Oh my God, we have to organize something. I got to think. I got to think.
You don't
What
have
am I
to
gonna
organize anything.
Oh,
It's
shit.
Tam, it's 37, babes. Like 37th birthday means nothing. Come on.
Oh, not like I'm not organizing you a birthday party,
No,
but
I
like,
know.
a background or something,
No. I'm just meaning you literally don't have to do anything special at all because
Alright.
it's 37 years old and I genuinely don't fucking care.
Yeah, I'm the same, honestly. I did a 24-hour live stream for my last birthday.
Like when I get to 40, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. Where's the best
Yeah.
place to message me? I don't know. Where is the best place to message me? I never respond to my messages. I'm the worst message responder in the world. It's probably Discord, to be honest.
Yeah, on
Maddie's
the Discord.
nodding. Yeah. You guys are planning to live to 40.
Dom, that was on the off chance I make it, bud.
I
My
told
shit's
my
wrecked.
ex. I told my ex that I thought they weren't going to live to 40, and they were shocked. They didn't know how I could say that. They were like, "Why would you not? Like, why would you think I wasn't going to live to 40?" And I was like, "Well, because you're not very healthy and you don't take care of yourself." I don't know. You have to take 6 different pills every morning just to make sure your heart doesn't stop, your kidneys keep functioning, and your liver doesn't go out on you, and
Pancreas
your
does the right things.
pancreas has given out on you already. You're already one organ down from the rest of us. Like, how long did
Yep.
you think you were going to last? I don't know.
Like, I am at this point alive out of spite.
Yeah.
It's just spite. That's all that's keeping me running.
I'm kid you not. This is what I keep saying to people. I'm like, I'm asthmatic. Since the time I was like 8 years old, I've been aware I was just one real bad pollen storm away from being out of here. Like, if it is a lovely, bright, sunny day and the wind's picked up and my window's open, I will wake up from sleep because I am suffocating on my own snot and I might actually die in that moment. Like, that is, I live with the reality that death is a constant gift, the constant
Yeah, man.
presence.
My insides are currently on my outsides. I'm not even joking. I have a hernia so fucking big, you've got no idea, man.
I'm not sorry. I'm not laughing. I wasn't laughing about that. I was laughing because you know how we were saying about me being terrible at responding to messages?
Yeah.
Yet Tim has just responded with just ... I've left him on red for a full week and a half.
Jesus, at least I don't get that.
That's because I have to respond to you at least once a week for the podcast. Otherwise you would. It's okay.
Yeah, true. I have to come to the admission
So
I'm nothing
useless.
special.
No, it's just I'm so fucking useless. That's what it is. It's that I am the most useless motherfucker who lives on the planet. I really am. I'm so sorry to everybody. Yeah, let me copy the link so I can send you the link to the Discord. So there
I'll
is
grab that as well so that I can join it because I still haven't.
There is a way you can join the Discord via the Mentor, the Minotaur. And I did used to. I beg to differ that you're useless. Tom, wait until you start a message with me and realize how quickly that
all
changes.
jokes. Tam, I love you, but
Yeah,
the contact is the primary issue. Oh no, wait, I am in the void. I forgot about
contact is contact is more contact. I suck. I cannot tell you. Honest to God, like I fucking kid you not, I would be so much bigger a creator right now if I actually contacted people. The amount of people I've had reaching out to me to collab, the amount of people I've had the amount of irons I could have jumped onto and things I could have done if I was better at getting back to people. And I'm just like, nah. And these people have like management teams and shit. So they're like, they don't need to be organized. They have other people to be organized for them. And I'm not organized enough to get a management team together. So I'm not doing that.
That means there's someone else you have to talk to.
Yeah, exactly. As it is, Amy is like the lipstick sheep is trying to manage me, and all I've got is a string of angry messages being like, "Set up the fucking meeting already."
Oh, bless AIM. Bless lipstick sheep.
They are literally trying to produce this podcast and like make this a profit happen. They do. And they're like, I just need you to coordinate people. And I'm like, that is way outside of my wheelhouse of abilities.
Just for the love of God, please say yes or no. Does this date work for you? Is it even possible? Please just respond with just the letter Y will be enough. Just please, anything. 4 weeks later. Oh shit, sorry about this.
I have a friend that sent me a message and I realized I hadn't responded to it. And it's been so long since I last responded that I had to update her on the fact that Adam and I were no longer together.
Jesus, Tam, that's bad. Fuck, I thought I was bad, babe. Jesus. Fucking hell.
This
So-
is secretly why I'm starting the commune, so that I
So,
don't
I
have
know
to
it's been
message
like
anyone. They're all right there.
I know it's been a literal lifetime, but here's
Yeah.
some life updates.
Literally. I messaged him, was like, oh my gosh, what did I say actually? Let me see. And then they messaged me back and I haven't responded, so I better do that. I
Woof.
was like, I'm so sorry. Because they were like, oh, I heard this on the radio and it made me think of you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for not responding and going completely MIA. Turns out a week after we last spoke, my whole life went and fell apart. How are you and the family going? Because it was literally, we had spoken, we had like a voice FaceTime call
Yep.
while the kids were in New Zealand with Adam. And then like a week later, I found out. So,
Mm.
you know, that is kind of why we hadn't been in touch. Because at that point, you know, when you get to the couple of months mark and you're like, oh, I haven't spoken to this person, I better catch up with them.
Yep.
At that couple of month mark, I was losing my fucking mind. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking about catching up with people.
In the middle of everything going down.
No. And it was
Yep.
on me to catch up because they had done the last catch up. So it was like, you know what I mean? So then they
Yep.
left it. And so then when I messaged them and I'm like, hey, how are you and the family going? They're like, hey, you know, have things improved, all the rest of it, catch up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, for sure. We've just taken a little detour via divorce and the mental health ward, but everything's great. And she's like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Can you please keep me a little bit more in the loop next time? Like, yeah, no, probably not. So I was really sorry.
I have the same thing, man. Like the biggest problem is like having ADHD makes you feel like it's only been a week since you last spoke with someone you care about.
Literally.
And suddenly it's been 6 months. And then if you have any kind of anxiety disorder on top of that, now all of a sudden you're so fucking anxious about contacting them because it's like, oh, but they probably hate me because I haven't spoken to them in 6 months. Oh my God.
Now, I have been really fortunate in that I have been able to get over that because I have a friend who used to be really blasé about like letting people down and leaving people waiting and shit.
Mhm.
And it used to annoy the shit out of me because it just felt really disrespectful.
Mm.
And then one day she was just like, I have to kind of be blasé about it though because I can't help it. It doesn't matter how much I worry about it. It just doesn't matter how much I focus on it. It doesn't matter how much time I spend stressing and trying to make myself be on time. It's not going to happen. So I might as well just accept it and only hang out with people who can accept me the way I am. And then we don't have to worry. Like, it's no stress. It's
I
fine.
kind of get that.
I was just like, you're fucking right. 100%.
In fairness, even though I get that, a lot of my messages still start with, hey, really sorry it's been so long we last spoke.
I know.
I kind of forgot that people other than the people who live in my near proximity
Yeah.
existed.
But I
Whoops.
now, because she kind of helped me reframe it a little bit, I've now gotten to the point where rather than getting annoyed at people for not contacting me, because this is what I used to do, I used to get annoyed.
Mhm.
Now, and I used to push myself to be the person who would like always contacted, always did it, and to the point of burnout, like to the point of I've been on this treadmill for so long, pushing myself to be this person who lives up to other people's expectations, and I'm now burnt out and not able to cope as a human being.
Yep.
And so now I will, if I'm messaging someone and they haven't responded in a while, I'll message them and be like, are you spiraling because you haven't messaged me? Like, don't spiral. Because I've got friends who do that. And then they'll message me and be like, I was spiraling. And I'm like, yeah, I know it, bitch. Like, take your meds. What are you doing? Because if it's been over a certain length of time, I know they're spiraling. But most of the time, I do not even register that I haven't opened the message. And then I'll open it and I'll be like, oh, here's this thing. I was just thinking about you guys and I wanted to share this thing with you. My issue, because I don't have any issues around that, right? Like, no fucking qualms. My issue is that when I jump back in, because I'm like, this thing has happened, the can of marbles got shook and the marble that is you sprang to the top of the jar because this thing happened that made me think of you because I want to share it with you. But now it sounds like I'm only contacting you because I want to talk about me. But it's only because this thing happened that reminded me of you.
Tam, is it okay if I drop the Discord link directly in chat?
No, I've already messaged it to Tom Tom. I whispered it to
Okay.
you, Tom Tom.
Tom,
Did you not
it's in
get
the
my
whispers.
whisper? I whispered it to you on Twitch because we used to just drop it. I actually used to have it popping up in chat from time to time, and then we started getting people inundating the Discord. Oh no, you're okay, don't stress.
Yep.
I got people inundating the Discord, the chat, and the problem with the Discord is I'm not in there often enough to keep an eye on them.
That's pretty fair.
If I was in there more frequently, it wouldn't bother me. Like if I was in there every day, because I know there are plenty of organizers who do, they freely give out the link, and I do freely give it out. Like I'm not trying to put it behind. No, unnecessary apology. I don't want to put it behind a paywall or anything. But for anyone who is watching or isn't, doesn't pop up in the chat or whatever, and does want the link, you can go to the Ko-fi, sign up for the $1 link. It automatically sends you the link to the Ko-fi, and then you can cancel it immediately, and it won't kick you out of Discord. So you don't have to stay signed up or anything like that. Yeah, it's a way to get the link without me sending it to you. But if you're in the chat, I can just send it to you. It doesn't matter. This is just for people who are either watching back on the playback, aren't able to get access to it any other way, live in a different time zone, and so they're never around when we're around and don't know how to get access to it, that kind of thing. But anybody who is in the Discord and wants to share it, if it's somebody who you know and have had interactions with and their politics and stuff, then feel free to share the link. We just want to keep the assholes out and the trolls. That's
100% understood. Very good point. That's why I asked before dropping it in the chat. Mind you, I don't actually
I'd forgotten you even asked that
messages...
question. I'd moved on to a different subject.
Mind you, I don't know if my messages actually show in chat.
Yeah.
Can anyone see this?
Yeah.
That pops up?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Okay. I thought that one just popped up on my Twitch and my YouTube.
Can you...
Thanks, Dom.
Oh, I was going to say, no. Oh, no, yeah, it doesn't pop up on... So,
doesn't pop
my
up
messages...
on your Twitch chat.
Yeah, and your messages, my messages don't pop on your Twitch chat either.
I thought so. I thought so.
No.
Okay. Cool. So I do need to actually have your Twitch open in a separate window in order to send a chat message to everyone. Okay, dope. Yeah. That's cool. Now I know.
So do I. If I want to send them to... That's annoying, isn't it? Well, you know what? When you're streaming through Streamlabs...
Yes.
If you're streaming to Streamlabs using a virtual window, then your Streamlabs will have the Twitch chat.
Yes.
Ha! Yeah! Yes. No, it won't. It'll have your Twitch chat.
It'll have my Twitch chat. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it will.
I'm an idiot. Okay. Anyway, we've now been talking for 15, 20 minutes longer than we said we were going to. Do we want to...
Yeah, true. All right. Well, we will call it there. Look, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Next week, it will be me leading the conversation. We will be talking about a bit of West Australian history. Another little thing showing just how corrupt this state is.
We're specifically focusing on Western Australia. I feel like maybe we should call this season the West is not so best. I don't know.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%, because we've got 3 episodes in a row focusing on WA and how fucked it is.
Yeah.
So, this can be a little trilogy.
The trilogy. So next week will be WA Incarcerated.
Yes, it will.
Worst of the West.
That's much better, Belle.
Yeah. We often spend a lot of time trying to figure out names for these shows, and so far I have not thought of a single good one.
That's my job.
Yeah. All good ones. I know everyone's going to say, you guys have got some really good podcast titles. Yes, I didn't say the podcast didn't have good titles. I said I hadn't come up with any of them. I think you'll notice. Anyway.
No, mind you, you did come up with Lick My Labour, which was hilarious.
I did come up with Lick My Labour. That is true.
Yeah, that one made me laugh for a solid 5 minutes. So.
I'm so dirty. I'm a dirty bitch.
We love it, though.
On that No, I love you guys so
Yes.
much. My kids are about to walk through the door, so I am going to sign off because they're little gremlins. Oh, but
Yes.
I am going to be back tomorrow.
Alrighty. And I might stream sometime throughout the week. Maybe not. Because I won't actually be at home this week. So, yeah.
So I actually wanted the gremlins that are mac and cheese. Yes.
Yes.
I actually did want to talk to you guys as well because I watched a presentation that Grace Blakely did recently regarding her book Vulture Capitalism. So
Mhm.
I'm going to be doing some reading out of this.
Nice.
And yeah, and we'll do some other stuff
Most excellent.
too.
Well, my
Most
friends,
excellent.
We will
Most
see you later.
excellent.
Actually, the next time you'll see us is for a protest live stream on Thursday.
Yes.
That's
Next
when
time you
you'll
see the
see
two of
us
us
both
together. Woo! Woo! So that's why I'm going to do one tomorrow because I won't be doing one Wednesday because I'm going to be driving up to Perth.
Yes.
Be excellent to each other, everybody. Yeah.
Always.
Don't forget that you
Yep.
are excellent and the world is better with you in it.
Damn
Okay.
right. All right.
That's a
See
really
you
good
guys.
sign off.
See you on Thursday.
See you then.